music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It isn't like it being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
look out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes, every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own!
Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and once again, welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. We're now at the sharp end of Season 3 with only 4 rounds left to go of this incredibly competitive championship. And once again, we're going to start off with the League 2 race heading into Buenos Aires in Argentina. We are now into the Americas as we look to close out the season. And heading into this one, Pascal Wehrlein leads a Fonmetal 1-2 in the driver's standings, 144 points for Wehrlein and 124 points for Marcus Ericsson, 20 points between them. Still plenty to play for in the last few rounds. Tatiana Calderon still very much in contention for this championship in third on 123, with Brendan Harley fourth in the Pacific on 99. Mick Schumacher, since coming into the season midway through, has done an incredible job picking up some victories and podiums and is now on 97 points. He could still very well win this championship as well. It's going to be incredibly competitive in the last few rounds. Jack Aitken, 6th on 71 points, falling away from the lead battle a bit, and it looks like he might not be fully in contention for this championship anymore. It might well just be between the top 5. Alexander Rossi in 7th on 58 points, ahead of Gary Paffett, Kimi Asato and Lucas Di Grassi rounding out the top 10 on 50 points. A quick look at the team standings as well, and it is very much between Fonmetal and Marsa Carlola for this championship. 268 points to 230 between two of them, and they look set for promotion, whether it be today or at the next race in Curitiba. We will wait and see. Pacific Grand Prix still holding on to their promotion hopes in third on 123 points, but with the likes of Force India, Dome, Ram, Zach Speed and LaRousse all looking to get into that promotion battle as well. Relegation comes in League 1, sorry for that. So LaRousse there on 62 points, Scuderia Coloni on 60 and Andrea Moda also on 60, while at the bottom of League 2 standings, Carlin on 27, Dams Viant on 24 and Real on 6 points at this point in campaign so far for them. They will be very much looking forward to Season 4, I imagine, the German team headed up by Ed Hunter there. And as we look ahead to the League 2 race today, just one driver change to bring you, and that is at the Zach Speed team. Mike Smith has run out of patience with Lucas Di Grassi and decided to bring reserve driver Sam Bird back into a race seat, potentially looking to evaluate his options for when we have the Season 4 driver draft for Season 4. We'll tell you more about that at the end of the season. But Sam Bird getting another go in the Zach Speed here in Buenos Aires today, and he will be very much looking to impress his boss as he looks for a permanent race seat. But of course, before we get going, we need to take a look at the grid, and it is a Mastercard Lola 1-2 today. Mick Schumacher putting it on pole position by a tenth of a second to teammate Tatiana Calderon, while the two Fonmetals are third and fourth. Marcus Ericsson ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. All four of those are clear second ahead of fifth place Raffaele Marcello, fifth in the Force India, ahead of Gary Paffett in the Ram, Jack Aitken in the second Force India in seventh, Oliver Rowland doing well in the Zach Speed to put it 8th. Alan McNish puts both Rams into the top 9. And Jaime Alguersuari continuing his strong form in the last few rounds to be 10th in the Scuderia Coloni. 11th place is the returning Sam Bird ahead of Mirko Bortolotti in the Dams Viant. Sergio Sette Camara is the lead Pacific in 13th ahead of Kimi Asato and Fabio Lima. Nelson Piquet Jr. 16th ahead of Takuma Sato. And Brendan Harley once again really disappointing in qualifying, and this has been his downfall this season. The race pace of the Kiwi has been absolutely incredible, but poor qualifying has been scuppering his race results, and that's something he will need to work on for next season. Jake Dennis, 19th, ahead of Christian Lundgaard in 20th. And nearer the back of the grid, Mike Conway, 21st in the Riel, ahead of Andre Lotterer. And then Alexander Rossi, Dan Tickton, 23rd and 24th. And on the back row of the grid, Luciano Becchetta and Callum Ilott in the Larousse. That is your grid for today's League 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. Let's waste no more time. Let's get down to trackside, and ready and waiting to take you through the action on commentary, it's Tom Cairns.
Here we are for the final quarter, the business end of the Grand Prix World Series. Can Formental and Mascard Lola achieve promotion with a strong result today here in Argentina? The 5 red lights are coming on now. When they go out, we'll be racing in Buenos Aires. It's lights out, and away we go. Mick Schumacher getting off the line well, but Calderon has got away better than the German. So Calderon is going to lead into turn 1 first, ahead of her teammate. And Mick Schumacher is looking to fight back as they go through the first corner of this racetrack of Buenos Aires. And Calderon seems to have got the jump on her teammate. But has she though? We can see a car running wide. That's Rafael Martiello, who comes out into the path of one of the Zach Speeds. And the Force India is out of the race. Not the start that team manager Ed Spencer would have wanted. Martiello, who tried to dodge one of the Formentals, but came back into the path of one of the Zach Speeds, I thought it was. It might have been Puffett, actually. We'll have a look at another replay of it. But Martiello is out of the race either way. And that's another retirement for him. That's back-to-back non-finishes for the Force India pilot. And you can see the Mascard Lola drivers still battling it out. And remarkably, Mick Schumacher is able to get back in front of his teammate by going right round the outside before they get to the Ascari section. And no further action is taken on that accident involving Martiello. And I'm not at all surprised by that. We can see Ericsson making a move on Pascal Wehrlein at the same time. Wehrlein getting the jump on Ericsson at the start. And it looks like Ericsson's got back through ahead of him at the hairpin. So it's as you were on the grid. We've had a cracking start to this race. Schumacher leads, and there's a collision, and it involves the dome of Kamir Sato and the Pacific of Sergio Sette Camera. We'll find out exactly what happened to that. A chaotic start to this race, it has to be said. But we can see Marcello almost trying to make a move, and we actually watch one of the Carlins make a move, and actually one of the Andrea Motos ran into Kamir Sato that sent him into Sette Camera, and that sent Sette Camera off the racetrack. Now we'll have a look to see who ran into Sato as they approached the hairpin. This is Jake Dennis in the Andrea Motor. Was he the one that ran into the dome going into the hairpin? Ah, yes it was. And he came from way too far back, too late on the brakes, and he basically used the dome as a brake there to stop the car from going any further. Sette Camera, an innocent bystander in all of that. I think another car had spun behind him as well. It would have been his teammate Brendan Hartley. So a disastrous start to the race for team manager Kevin McMullen on a day where his cars are looking to extend their points gap over the others in the race for promotion. And Jake Dennis, for causing that incident, has been given a 30-second time penalty and a back of the grid drop for the next race in Curitiba, Brazil. One lap completed then. Schumacher leads, Calderon second, Ericsson third, Wehrlein fourth. Then it's the sole surviving Force India of Jack Aiken in fifth, Oliver Onan sixth, Alan McNish seventh, Gary Puffett, who are riding on board with, is eighth, Jaime Alguersuari, podium finisher last time out in Valencia, is ninth, and making up the top 10 is the man returning to the Grand Prix World Series grid in place of Lucas Di Grassi in the Sax Speed seats. It is Sam Bird. Kamir Sato came into the pits for a new front wing after the collision with Dennis and Sette Camera. And we will go back to Schumacher as we look at Christian Lundgaard, who had a disappointing race on this track last season. He's looking to make up for that this time around, but he's outside the top 15 at the moment, is the Dane. And Brendan Hartley's got in front of Alexander Rossi now into 22nd position. And we go back with Ericsson, who's closing behind Tatiana Calderon in the battle for second place as they approach the hairpin. And now Christian Lundgaard locks up into the tight left-right chicane there that goes downhill. And nearly coming back into the path of Callum Ilott, and a new fastest lap of the race. Mick Schumacher has posted that at 1 minute 24.7. Buenos Aires, that has hosted the Formula World Championship on many occasions. And we see a problem for Takuma Sato in the dome, and he is out of the race. Another disappointing start for David Young, the team manager of the dome squad. And whilst Kamir Sato is at the back on his own, his teammate Takuma Sato is out on the spot after 2 laps. Now Dome, who are one of those chasing promotion as well, this is not what they needed at this stage of the season. And given how Force India's race is going, and we see Cardwell go off. How's she done that? She must have made a mistake. She's gone off into the gravel trap, and it looks like she's done it at turn 1. Was it at turn 1 or was it further on in the lap? It might have been further on in the lap, you know. It might have been the corner before the Ascari section. So Cardwell has made a mistake. She's back on track now in 23rd position. And she looks like she's done it into turn 6. So Cardwell, who was in 2nd place, has dropped down to the back of the field. That allows Ericsson and Furline to go up into the podium places. Now, with the positions as they are, Von Mattel will be promoted to League 1 with 3 races to spare. And there's an engine problem. That's the Force India of Jet Aiken who's going to be pulling out. That's great news for Von Mattel. What an absolute nightmare for team manager Ed Spencer of the Force India squad. Their cars are out of the race after only 3 laps. And it's also good news for MasterCard Layla because all they need now is to score 9 more points in this race. They've already got the pole position point. But if Mick Schumacher can just keep going as he is, that'll be promotion signed, sealed and delivered for Marcus Johansson's team as for the Von Mattel squad under the reins of Ewan Gale. So the Force India pulls off the circuit. Jack Aiken retires from the Lead 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix, and it's going to be no points for Force India. Now with Force India out of the race, all MasterCard only needed to do in this one is to outscore Dome by at least a point. They've got that already, and with Dome already have 1 car out and the other at the back of the field, all MasterCard Lola need to do is just keep going. For Von Mattel, they just need to make sure they don't get outscored by Dome or Ram by a significant number of points. And that'll be promotion seal for them. But they're running in 2nd and 3rd, which is more than enough to seal promotion today. Three drivers out of the race: Jay Aiken, Takuma Sato, and Rafael Marciello. No Sunbird locking up in the Zach Speed. With all these shenanigans going on, that's allowed the 2 Dams Viant cars of Nelson Piquet Jr. and Mirko Bortolotti to move up into 9th and 10th places. If they can keep going as they are, they may move in front of Carlin in the team standings into 11th position. Not that it means anything in regards to where they will end up at the end of the season, but still good to finish in front of the rivals, I suppose. So we can see Brendan Hartley right behind Callum Eilert in the battle for 17th position. He's got in front of Luciano Piquetta. And now he's chasing after the LaRousse of Callum Eilert, who has struggled once again. LaRousse have been on the back foot in recent rounds. So this configuration which the drivers are using is what Formula 1 used back in the 90s. It's otherwise known as the number 6 circuit, this configuration, with the Senna S. In case you want to know where the Senna S is, it's around where turns 13 and 14, as you can see Fabio Lima locking up in the Carlin. He's able to keep the car going. Mick Schumacher leads by around about 7 seconds over Marcus Ericsson. We've got Pascal Furman 3rd. Oliver Rowland up to 4th place now in the Zach Speed. Alan McNish is 5th. Gary Puffett in the second Ram is 6th. Jaime Alguersuari in the Coloni is 7th. Sunbird 8th on his return. Nelson Piquet Jr. is 9th, and Mirko Bortolotti in the second Dams Vion is in the final points scoring position. Fabio Lima is 11th in the Carlin. Jake Dennis is 12th, ahead of his Andrea Moda teammate Andre Lotterer in 13th. It's Dan Tixon in the Real in 14th place, and Christian Lundgaard running out the top 15 in the Coloni in 15th spot. And there are the two Fomitels, with them second and third, who would collect 27 points, and Moscow Lola, as it stands, would be collecting 27 as well, because Mick Schumacher's got the points for pole position and fastest up at the moment, as well as the race win potentially. So the gap between Fomitel and Moscow Lola in the team standings will be the same as what it was before this round had begun. As you can see, Calderon making her way through the field, I should say. My apologies for that. She is through ahead of Paqueta into 19th spot, and she's about to complete a swift overtake on Alexander Rossi, is it? No, it's Callum Milot, my apologies. She's through into 18th place. The next driver ahead of her is Brendan Hartley. Now, in terms of the Drivers' Championship in League 2 is concerned, as we see the two Fomitels nose to tail. Now, Verline leads the championship by 20 points coming into this round. Mick Schumacher's pole position and fastest lap points. Oh, and that's Hartley spinning round in the Pacific. Into the gravel he goes. And the race winner at this track in Season 1 has had a moment there in front of Tatiana Calderon. She'll be happy to see that in front of her, because at least that's one less car for her to overtake. But for Brendan Hartley and for Pacific, it's got even worse. Will Hartley get out of the gravel track here? He's deep into it, and we've got retirement. Mick Schumacher's out. The race leader, Mick Schumacher, has pulled off. He's made a mistake. The rear wheel has come off, and Mick Schumacher has retired from the race. I cannot believe it. Mick Schumacher has spun off, carried too much speed into turn 1, and his race is over. Now, for Moscow Lola to seal promotion, they need to have Tatiana Calderon at the present moment to finish in 6th position, which would give them promotion to League 1 today. But for Mick Schumacher, his race is over. And what about Brendan Hartley? Because he's stuck in the gravel trap as we speak. There's no one around him at the moment. He's reversing back onto the circuit. He needs to be very careful, because if the leaders do come round and run into him, that could cause all sorts of issues. But Moscow Lola, they need to outscore Force India by 11 points today. They've got 2 of those at the moment, so they need another 9 points, which means Calderon would need to finish 5th or higher to seal promotion. And then they also need to outscore Dome by 1 as well. And what also needs to go their way is for Ram to not outscore them by 6 points or more, not to be outscored by Zaxby by 8 points or more, not to be outscored by LaRousse by 33 points or more, not to be outscored by Andrea Moda by 35 points or more, and not to be outscored by Coloni by 35 points or more. A lot of permutations, but as we can see, that looks like Sam Berda ran onto the grass there for a moment, but managed to keep his front wing intact and keep going. Schumacher's retirement has promoted Fabio Lima up to 10th place. And that crash for Mick Schumacher pretty much spells the end of his cycle challenge. He's got to hope something happens to the Sax Speed up front. A long way to go yet in this race. We're only on lap number 9. And Oliver Rowland's up to 3rd place in the Sax Speed, having a better time of it in this one than he has done in recent races. He had a good first couple of races, actually, or first few races for the Sat Speed squad, finishing the points in his first 3. 4 drivers out of the race. Brendan Hartley in 22nd and last place now. Heat 2 race winner here last season was Yuri Vips. Not involved in this one. It'd be good to see how he got on though in a race seat, so he could be one to look out for in the driver market for next season. Season 4 is going to look totally different in terms of which drivers are going to be eligible for selection by the team managers. And you can see the two Fomitels. I wonder what strategies they will be on now, given that both of the Moscow Lolas, well, Mick Schumacher's out and Calderon is towards the back of the pack. And there she is, look, she's getting moved on Mike Conway. Now it's into the last corner there, and she's through into 15th place. Oliver Rowling in P3. Calderon is still in the title race, a point behind Marcus Ericsson and 21 behind Verline. She needs to get back into the action if she is to have any realistic hope of taking the League 2 driver cycle race all the way to Laguna Seca. Now, Moscow Lola had a really disappointing race fit in Valencia with both drivers retiring. And you can see Marcus Ericsson in the race lead as Sette Camera is behind Luciano Piccata. He won't be able to do it into the Ascari S. And you can see Andre Lotterer. Center S and heading towards the Curva de Parga, I should say. When I say the circuit number 6, it includes a chicane on the exit of the last hairpin of the lap, so my apologies for that. I think it's probably the number 6 circuit, so there's a difference between the number 6 circuit and the number 6 circuit with the center S. And Calderon is through on Dan Tickton. I think there was a replay being shown there. I was actually paying attention to the circuit configuration. There's many different circuit configurations around the circuit of Buenos Aires, just named after Oscar and Juan Galvez. Fabio Lima in the top 10 at the moment. Tatiana Coleman is in 13th position behind Andre Lotterer. It's realistic that she'll get back into the points. I think her best hope now is maybe to finish on the podium. If she can do that, providing they are not going to be outscored by Down, which is very unlikely now, providing they don't get outscored by too many points from Ram and Zach Speed, they should be okay. As we see Bortolotti now running wide there, and he's been overtaken by Fabio Lima. Don't know what's going on there involving Bortolotti. Has he got a rear wing missing? No, he hasn't. My apologies. It almost looked like he had a rear wing missing there, did the Italian. But his mistake has allowed the Swiss driver to go through. And we see Jake Dennis go for a spin into almost the gravel. And needs to be very careful, does not rejoin into the path of the other drivers. And it looks like it's going to be okay from there. We'll take a look at that spin once more from his point of view. And he did exactly the same thing, or a similar thing to what Tatiana Calderon did last season. And almost a repeat of what Tom Christensen did in the League 1 race in Season 2 as well, albeit as he rejoined, as he bounced back onto the racetrack, one of the wheels came off the car and he was out on the spot. And you can see the two LaRussas, Ilott ahead of Rossi. I think given their pace, they're pretty much out with the hunt for promotion. And Andre Lotterer is next to go for a spin in the same place as where Brendan Hartley has spun off. And he's done very well to not take out any of the other cars as he rejoined. We're riding on board with Dan Tixon on a replay. And we're about to see the German run wide and nearly taking out the Real and the Coloni. Mike Conway having to slam on the brakes there to avoid contact. I wonder if Andre Lotterer may get looked into for that spin. He probably won't do. It's a 5-second time penalty for Lotterer. It's an unsafe rejoin. So 5 seconds will be applied to his race time wherever he finishes. And mind you as well that Jake Dennis, his teammate, has also been penalised for the Concertina collision with Kamir Sato and Sergio Sette Camera on that one. And there's an engine problem behind the Andrea Moda of Andre Lotterer, and that'll be Mike Conway. Conway, who has had a decent effort today. Had a decent effort in the last few races, but he's not going to be finishing this one. He is the next to retire from the event. And Oliver Rowland has dropped down the order. What's happened to Rowland as he picked up an issue? Once we go to Rowland, we know that Conway's going to be out. But I think Oliver Rowland has pulled off the track somewhere. And there he is, look. He's had an accident as Rowland. He had gone into the barrier strangely, and he nearly came back into the path of Tatiana Calderon as he rejoined. So Oliver Rowland, who was in third place, has had a spin and has fallen right down the order. Oh, he got hit! He got hit as he came back onto the racetrack into the path of Nelson Piquet Jr. So I have to say, Oliver Rowland will be in big trouble for that, because that was a dangerous, dangerous collision. So Conway is going to be pulling off the circuit in a moment. And Oliver Rowland has been awarded a 30-second time penalty and the back of the grid shot for the next race in Curitiba. Brendan Hartley coming into the pits for a scheduled stop as Conway will pull off the circuit, providing he doesn't take out a car himself. He doesn't do. The dome of Kamir Sato is just trying to make up for lost ground. Conway won't be for any longer. So through all that madness, Calderon, after that spin earlier on, she is now back up into 9th position. As we see Paqueta go off the circuit too. Paqueta is also in trouble. He's not had a good time of it. He had a promising start to the season, did Paqueta, with some strong performances. He was in second place at one point in Kyalami before mechanical problems had put him out. He's up back onto the circuit now. Where is he gone off there? Is that on the exit of turn 6, I wonder? It was. So much drama already in this one. We're only on lap 14. Piquet Jr. into the pits for a new nose cone. And now we are seeing, well, what we were seeing the fundamentals. We're seeing Calderon make her way through the field once again, getting past Mirko Bortolotti. Into 8th place she goes now. Absolutely on form today is Calderon, despite that spin. That tells you everything about her season. See Tixon running in P11, chasing his first points in the Grand Prix World Series. And ahead of him will be serving a 30-second time penalty. Lotterer will be serving 5 seconds, and Jake Dennis will be serving 30. As it stands, Von Mattel will be going up. Mars Codlela, as it stands, will not. Calderon needs to finish 5th or higher for Mars Codlela to have any chance of sealing promotion today. And there she is, though, on the inside of Fabio Lima, providing they don't make contact. She had to back out of it in the end, but she'll have another go. On the pit straight they come. You can see the horsepower deficit between the Mars Codlela and the Carlin. The managers did have an upgrade window after the Valencia round, and the horsepower advantage that the Mars Codlela have over the Carlin very much shows how well that team has been doing throughout the campaign. Calderon up to P7 now. She's 2 positions away from a potential place in League One next season, as Lima is the next to spin off the circuit. We'll have a look on the replay. Lima getting a little carried away after being overtaken by Calderon. And he doesn't go into the gravel trap. Now, does he rejoin back onto the circuit safely? He's waiting for the cars to go by, which is the sensible thing to do, but he'll lose a ton of places. He should go back onto the circuit now, and he is doing so. And Lima drops to 18th. And Sam Bird has pulled off with a problem. Now, has he got a mechanical issue? We want to have a look on his onboard dash to see if he has picked up an issue. Or was it a driver error? It was a driver error. And he bounced across, and the wheel has come off on Sam Bird's car. So he is the next to retire. And that's important in the race for promotion as well. Because that's one less car for Marscard Lola to be worried about now. With Roland serving a 30-second time penalty at the end of the race, whatever happens, that is subject to appeal. But Marscard Lola, as it stands, with Calderon in 6th place, they still need one more position to seal promotion, because they need to outscore Force India by 11 points, and promotion will be theirs with 3 races to go. For Fomital, they can take it very, very easy here, providing they don't take each other off. As we see Verline behind Ericsson. I wonder if these two are on different strategies to each other. Don't know for certain yet, but they are 19 seconds clear of Alan McNish in 3rd place. Gary Paffett is 4th. Now, if it was to remain as it is, as Mirko Bortolotti is the next driver to go for a spin. What a disappointment there for team manager Phil Kinch, with both drivers up there in the points in the early stages of this one. BK Jr. had to come in for a front wing after hitting Oliver Rowland, as Rowland came back onto the circuit unsafely, and now Bortolotti has had a spin of his own. And he's going to fall to the back of the field, most certainly. What I will say is that Ram, with the positions as they are, in fact, Marscard Lola would need them to not score as many points as they are about to do. Because if Marscard Lola get 11 points from this race, they would need Ram to not outscore them by 6 points or more. So if Ram were to get 27 points, Marscard Lola would need 22, which means Calderon would need to pass both of them. And even if she does get past both of them, it may not be enough, as Lima spins again in the Carlin. He nudges the barrier. Reverses back onto the circuit. Does he do so safely, though? It looks like he's got back on fine. Is there a car coming round? That doesn't seem to be. Kimir Sasa comes into the pits for a stop at the end of lap 16. Right on board with Verline, who's in 2nd place behind his teammate Marcus Ericsson, as Paffett pretty much rode the curb there more heavily than desired. He's lucky to not lose the position to Jaime Alguersuari. You can see Calderon in the background in 6th place. Now, if Calderon was to pass Alguersuari, Paffett and McNish, she would potentially get 15 points, plus the 2 points that Mick Schumacher had got earlier for Marscard Lola. And if the Rams were to finish 4th and 5th, that would give them 22 points, and that would actually be enough for Marscard Lola to seal promotion, providing Mick Schumacher's fastest lap doesn't get taken away by anyone. There are the two Fomitels in 1st and 2nd. Will it stay that way? Achieved a 1-2 loss somehow in Valencia. So far, everything has gone their way. As Ayot locks up, so able to keep the car pointing in the right direction. His teammate Alexander Rossi coming into the pits in the other LaRousse. Sergio sets the camera after that tangle earlier on with Kimir Sato and Jake Dennis. Is running fine there in 12th position. In fact, make that 11th because he's got past Lotterer, and Lotterer is off the circuit at turn 1, and he's out of the race. And that pretty much spells the end of Andrea Moda's slim chances of getting promotion this time around. They've undergone a few managerial changes so far this season. They are setting their sights on season 4, and Lotterer is the next to retire with gearbox problems. And Fabio Lima comes into the pits, and Nelson Piquet Jr. is the next to pull out. Not 100% sure what the problem is. It looked like a gearbox issue the way he's pulled off there. There's no oil or fire leaking out of that car, and that's the Dams Fion out of the race, and it's also a gearbox issue for the Brazilian. I think that's 7 retirements we've had so far in this race. We're only on lap 19, and Verline comes into the pits for his first of 2 stops. So far in front of McNish, but I don't think he's far enough to get out in front of him. And there we see Paffett right in the grass there. Be careful, Gary, don't damage your front wing. Ram are in the fight for promotion. And whilst the top 2 are pretty much sewn up, Pacific in 3rd place, Force India 4th, Dome 5th, Ram 6th and Saxpeed 7th coming into this round. If Ram can stay where they are, realistically it's not going to be 2nd and 3rd, but if they were to finish 3rd and 4th, that would give them 27 points, and that would move them in front of Dome and Force India. Pacific would still have the advantage, albeit by 7 points. A long way to go yet still. And Sergio Sette Camara is outside the points in 11th place in the first of the 2 Pacifics. Brendan Hartley is right at the back, but at least he's still in the race, unlike Force India. There's Ericsson, who's just put a lap on. I think that was Luciano Piquetti who's got through. And Verline is out behind Calderon. He's got Sinclair Track ahead of him. He might have a chance of going for the fastest lap if he's lucky enough. We just saw Paffett lock up into the last braking zone of the circuit. And you can see Calderon getting through on Alguersuari so easily. Easily. A dream ticket there for the Colombian. And Verline on his fresh tyres can go after this lot and maybe go for the fastest lap on this one, providing no one spins off ahead of him, of which he may have to take evasive action. And now Calderon is into the slipstream of the Ram, and she gets the move done into Ascari. Quite brave to do it there, but the move is completed. Calderon through into 3rd position now, ahead of Paffett. What a brilliant combat drive this has been from the Mastercard Layla pilot. We can see Dan Titton holding off Christian Lundgaard there. I'm going to have to slow the car down to make sure he didn't go off circuit. Ilott in P12 ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. We've got Camille Sato and Alexander Rossi in 14th and 15th places respectively. It's been a race of attrition so far, and we're not at half race distance yet. Verline did not set a new fastest lap, so it's probably unlikely he will get it this time around, given his tyres will be wearing away by this point. He was 1.1 seconds behind Jaime Alguersuari. Now what does Ericsson do? Because if he's on a one-stop strategy, he'll need to make it work. He'll probably come up to back markers whilst he's at it. Bortolotti locks up again into the last braking zone of the circuit, the Curva de Parga. The Argentine Grand Prix has hosted a Formula 1 World Championship event on a total of 21 occasions, I believe. So from 1953 to 58, and then 1960, which makes it 7, and then from 72 to 75, make that 11, and then another 5 races from 77 to 81. And makes it 16, and then another 4 after that, making it 20. So it's actually 20 World Championship Grand Prix events, plus the non-championship event in 1971, which Chris Amon had won for Matra. Michael Schumacher is the most recent race winner of the Argentine Grand Prix, all the way back in 1998 for Ferrari. Back to the action as Calderon closes in on Alan McNish for second place. She'll get it done at some point, it's just a matter of when she'll do it. Will she pull out of the slipstream? She will do. She's alongside, and she's through into second place. We cut away from the action, but Calderon is through into second place as we watch, well, we were watching Fabio Lima. We're actually going to see a replay of the overtake from Calderon on Alan McNish. And Calderon's storming drive continues as she goes up into second place ahead of the Scotsman on lap 22. Now, can she go after Ericsson and potentially Verline later on? She's yet to stop in this race, but she may be on a different strategy to what the Von Mattels will be doing. I think Ericsson may well be on the one stop, you know, hence why he was holding up Verline for so long. Well, he's a couple of seconds behind McNish, so it'll be a little bit more time before he does get onto the rear of the Ram. Calderon in second place now, as it stands with the points that Mars Cardlella will be getting. Mick Schumacher still holding the points for pole position and fast start. That should wrap it up for Mars Cardlella today. It's unlikely that Saxby will be coming away with anything today, so all Mars Cardlella need to worry about are Ram and Dome. If they outscore Dome, that'll be enough. If they remain outscored by Ram by no more than 5 points, then that will seal it too for them. Ericsson continuing on in first place, approaching the end of that 23. Miyasato is running in 14th position, looking to salvage something from this race and keep Dome's promotion chances alive, but I say it's beginning to slip away for them. Pacific have had an absolute mare of a race so far as well. Force India have too, but given the way Ram have been performing in recent races, they are looking very strong in the latter end of the season. You can see Calderon, the sole surviving MasterCard Layla, in second place. Chasing down Ericsson now as Verline makes a move on McNish into turn 1. And Verline is through, providing he doesn't go in too deep. He doesn't do so, he keeps the car on the track, and he's doing for third place on circuit. Back with the leader as Verline tries to make a move on his teammate Luciano Becchetta. 18 drivers are left in the race now. Nelson Piquet Jr., Andre Lotterer, Sam Bird, Mike Conway, Mick Schumacher, Jack Aiken, Takuma Sato and Rafael Marciello are the drivers out of this race so far. 18 still running. Ericsson has yet to pit in this race, as has Calderon. Won a race so far for Jaime Alguersuari as well after a stellar drive in Valencia to take the team's first podium of the season. He'd also been on pole in Zental in round 3. As we see Verline in third place locking up. As he continues to catch Calderon, who's slowly but surely closing down the gap to Ericsson. Now with Rowland's time penalty, he will drop to 15th. And Jake Dennis's time penalty, as it stands, will drop him down one position to what would be 11th, but with Rowland dropping down the order as well, he would actually drop to... He would actually remain 10th, but Setse Camera would go ahead of him. So Setse Camera would gain 2 positions into the points. With the positions as they are, and time penalties applied, which he'll most certainly take. All of Sergio Setse Camera's points finishes this season have been 6, which he's done so on 3 occasions. He was running in 5th place in Valencia until Mechanical Gremlins had forced him into the pits with only a few laps left, and he fell to 14th place by the checker flag. There is Calderon. In 2nd place, as we see Dennis trying to hold off Setse Camera. And now we see Oliver Rowland locking up and bouncing over the grass and curb. And he was very lucky to keep the car intact there. I'm amazed that no damage has been done to that sack speed. He locked up, tried to correct the error, bounced over the grass and curb and did a 360. You see Tixon and Lundgaard going through, Dennis and Setse Camera going through. Now, does Rowland rejoin safely? Well, he'll have to wait again for Ilott to go through. And he drops to 12th place now. Sack Speed's race is going from bad to worse. See Verline in P3. The gap between Ericsson and Calderon has come down to 21.9. And Verline will be closing on Ericsson on the fresher tyres as well. So when will Ericsson decide to pit in? There is Piquetta in 17th place. You'll be hoping for misfortune hitting others. Behind him is Brendan Hartley. And we just saw an overtake from Camille Sarto on Mirko Bortolotti for 13th position. Some position gains for Dome. There's Ericsson P1. I think in the last lap alone, as we see Calderon go over the line, I think she's gained about 6/10 on Ericsson in the last lap alone there, as Alguersuari comes in for his only stop of the race at the end of lap 26. As we see Calderon almost running wide onto the grass there. She just needs to be careful to not make any more errors here. That could have been her last error of this race, but thankfully she's able to keep the car pointing the right way. And Dan Tixon is also in for Real, who are in need of some points. Only 6 points to their name all season. And with all the drama that's happened throughout this one, he could well get something out of this as Ilott pits in from P11. As we see Marcus Ericsson go for a spinning at pin entry. Unbelievable there for the Swede. I cannot believe he's made that error. We'll have a look at it again from his point of view as he made his way into the pits. You can't see it from a TV camera angle, unfortunately, but he just carried too much speed into the pits and he spun round to the Fon Metal. He was very lucky to stay in this race. What will Calderon do? Will she decide to pit in at the end of this lap? That'll pretty much put Verline into the lead if so. I don't think Calderon has gone into the pits, so she will go into the lead of the race, and Verline will go into second place, which will effectively be the net race lead after Ericsson's spin. Ericsson will be on the fresher tyres though, and Verline will have one more stop to make. Sebastian Calderon leads the Lead 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. Pascal Wehrlein is second, Marcus Ericsson third, Alan Manish is fourth, Gary Paffett is fifth, Lundgaard, who's just come into the pits, is sixth, then it's Alguersuari, Dennis Setse Camera, who's also come in, and Roland in the top 10. The race is beginning to settle down now. At least we thought it was going to before Ericsson had that spin at pit entry. We're forcing it out of the race. Dome, not going to be scoring very much. In fact, it's impossible for Dome to catch Von Mattel now, or deny Von Mattel promotion today. And Ram could still mathematically outscore them by 44 points or more. With Marcel Leila's pole position point, they will not get the maximum, will Ram, so for Ram to deny Von Mattel promotion, needs to get the fast lap and a 1-2 finish as Setse Camera goes for a spin in the Pacific. And he's bounced across the grass. He's done it into the quick left and right before the first sector ends. So he spins round. No, he's bounced across the grass there. He's trying to get back onto the circuit, but he's losing so much time. Here's the Brazilian. He's stuck in the gravel. City camera just waiting for the traffic to go through before he can make his manoeuvring back onto the circuit. He is in the gravel at the moment, as it proved to be too difficult for him to get out of there. I don't really want to be staying with this for too long, but we still need to keep an eye on how Setse Camera gets back onto the circuit as Piquetta goes through. It's back onto the grass, back onto the circuit, providing he doesn't spin the car around again. He's back onto the circuit in 18th place now. Calderon leads, Wehrlein second, Ericsson, Manish and Paffett in the top 5. As it stands, Von Mattel will be promoted here in Buenos Aires. Marco Lola with Calderon in the lead, and the points for pole position and fast lap, which Schumacher had already achieved, potentially achieving, that would also seal promotion to League 1 for Marco Lola after one season in League 2. They're about to bounce back at the first time of Arson. Manish comes into the pits for Ram. I think that might be his second stop of the race, you know. Has he encountered a problem as Manish, or is this a genuine early second pit stop for him? Bortolotti and Roland and Dennis also pitting in. Manish is back out in 6th place behind Jaime Alguersuari. Calderon pits in from the race lead now. She's done very well to get back into this one and into the race lead before pitting in, following that spin which sends her to the back of the pack. The time at the front is over for now. Two Von Mattels will go into the lead. Calderon will rejoin ahead of Paffett because Paffett is also in for his second pit stop, I believe. It may be his first one, I can't quite remember. She'll rejoin in 3rd place, well ahead of Jaime Alguersuari. As she comes out of the pits, she nearly locked up and went off the circuit. She was very fortunate there, was Calderon. Nearly veering into the path of the car in behind. What can she do from there? Is the next question. The 2 Rams in 5th and 6th, that would give them 18 points. And Marco Lola at the moment on 17 picking up. They will seal promotion as it stands. Further down the order, Dan Titsum is 9th after his pit stop. take note of the time penalties. Jake Dennis has got 30 seconds to serve, as does Oliver Rowland, which will move the likes of Eilert, Bortolotti and Lima up the order, although none of them would get into the points as a consequence. Calderon is less than 20 seconds behind, as Ericsson puts a lap on Brendan Hartley, who's running in 16th position. Calderon will try and go for a fastest lap to ensure that she further cements that fastest lap for the team. Now, she'll ideally want to get that for the sake of the Drivers' Championship. Now, as it stands, with Verline in the lead, Ericsson second and Calderon third, Verline will extend his lead at the top, and there's an engine problem for Sergio Sette Camera. His roller coaster race is about to end in smoke, and that pretty much spells the end of what's been a disappointing day for Kevin Mullin's team, who had hoped for much more. And Sette Camera is going to be pulling off the circuit and out of the race. It's good news for those who are catching them in the team's championship: Force India, Dome, Ram, Sac Speed, etc. Sette Camera pulls off the circuit, and he's out once more. It's his first non-finish since the Kyalami Grand Prix, believe it or not, for Sette Camera. So he'd gone through a total of 7 races without a non-finish. That has ended today. He becomes the 9th driver to retire, and Lundgaard will join him if he's not careful. He just rode the grass there. Again, a replay of it. Rode the curb there and the grass. He continued to ride the grass, and he was very lucky that the front wing stayed intact. Ericsson in second position behind Brendan Hartley. Well, I say Brendan Hartley, it's Verline who's in the lead. Hartley's just ahead of him on the road. Hartley will not want to get in the way. It doesn't get in the way, thankfully, although Ericsson will be a bit livid with the fact he's lost time there. Calderon has not set a new fastest lap of the race yet. There's Ericsson. Next driver he'll be lapping, well, the next driver that Verline will be lapping is Fabio Lima, who's running in 15th. See Calamilo in 12th place. Just about to be overtaken, I think, by Oliver Rowland. And it seemed like it. Now, if Calderon was to pull out of this one, Moscow will have to wait another race before they can seal promotion. It would spell bad news in the race for the team's championship title. From Salcame is this one 38 points clear. As it stands, with Verline Ericsson achieving a 1-2 finish, they would get 43 points. Moscow Lola will be achieving 17, with Calderon getting a 3rd place finish, and Mick Schumacher collecting the points for a fast lap and for pole position. That would see Formental extend their gap by 26 points, and therefore it will be a 64-point margin with 3 races to go. As Oliver Rowland makes his way through past Callum Ilott. So the Sac Speed moves in front, no problem. Go back to Calderon, who's running in P3, continuing to close the gap to the Fonmetals ahead. Verline, we expect to be pitting in again before this race is over. Ericsson locking up. Now Ericsson, who has tasted victory on 3 occasions this season in Sensel, Kyalami and Brands Hatch. His teammate Pascal Verlaine tasted victory on 3 occasions as well. In Istanbul, Misano, and last time out in Valencia. Formitel have had 6 wins to their name this season. Marcel Lola have picked up only 4. The only other teams to have picked up wins this season are Pacific and Dome. As we see Roland locking up once more, still able to keep the car on the island. You can see how quickly Calderon is closing in on Ericsson now. She's got the gap down to 10 seconds. Has she got enough time to catch him? If she was to catch Ericsson, she would need to close him down by at least half a second a lap, and that's just to catch him, never mind pass him. Gap is less than 9.7 with 19 laps remaining. If she does come back and win this, Tatiana Calderon, it would arguably be the drive of the season. After the spin that she had which sent her to the back of the field in the early stages, to come back in the way that she has done is simply sensational. And now we see Lima, who's holding up. Pascal Verlaine, he will not be very happy being held up by the Swiss driver. Now if he continues to hold him up the way he's doing, he may fall foul of the stewards. Calderon continuing to close in all the time, doing everything she can. She's got the gap down to, well, it's now 8.7 seconds as Ericsson goes into the lead ahead of Verlaine. Now what's happened to Verlaine? We're looking at Dan Tickton, but something has happened to Pascal Verlaine. We want to see what's happened to Verlaine. Has he had enough? Has he had a problem? We're about to find out in a moment. We need to be seeing Pascal Verlaine because he's down to 3rd place on the timing pages and he's actually come into the pits. Now has he done the same thing to what his teammate Marcus Ericsson has done? I've got in too quickly into the pit lane. That could possibly be the case. And Verlaine's chances of winning this one are pretty much dashed now. So it's between Marcus Ericsson and Tatiana Calderon for the race win. 8.3 seconds was the margin at the beginning of the lap. Now it's down to 8 seconds. Calderon is absolutely flying. Ericsson's coming up towards lapping Fabio Lima. As we see Rossi going too quickly into the pit lane. Had to jam on the brakes. He's able to get the car slowed down in time. And stays in this one. Camille Sarto is also in for Dome, which allows Dan Tickton to go back up into 8th place. Verlaine rejoined in 6th, for your information. So his best hope now is to finish in 3rd position by getting past McNish, Paffett and Alguersuari. Lima comes into the pit, so at least that saves the worries of Ericsson as he crosses over the line to complete lap 37. Calderon isn't too far behind. The gap is now 7.3. Is Calderon going to take her 3rd win of the season? If so, that will pretty much seal promotion for Marscard Lola as it stands. In terms of where the Formatels will end up, I think it'll probably be 2nd and 3rd. The gap between them and Marscard Lola will be the same as what it was before the round had started, but more importantly for both of those teams, they will be racing in League One next season. As Verlaine makes his way through past McNish into turn 3. And that's a position gain for the German. And they can go after the next couple of cars ahead. Importantly, he does that. So he can try and close back in on Ericsson and Calderon. He's not got a lot of time left in the races. There's Verline. You can see Puffett trying to make a move on Alguersuari. And Verline isn't too far back before he will get back into the mix. .2 seconds is the margin between the Fomitel and the Mastercard Lola. Nearly 3/4 of the way through this one. It's been dramatic, especially in the early stages, but it's pretty much calmed down. And less than 6 seconds is the margin between Calderon and Ericsson. She's coming at him like a rocket. It won't be too long before she gets onto the rear of that Fomitel ahead. What a moment this will be for Marcus Johansson to seal promotion today. As we see Hartley behind Luciano Becchetta for 16th position. He won't be getting any points on this one, Will Hartley. Now, in terms of the battle for third place in the team's championship, Pacific won't be scoring, neither will Force India. Dome, who have got Kimir Sato running in 11th place on circuit, will move in front of Dennis and Roland with their time penalty, so he'll collect 2 points on this one. He'll drop behind Ram, who look to be on course for a good haul of points here. If Puffett was to drop behind Verline, which is inevitable really, Puffett and Minish will collect 18 championship points. They'll go in front of Dome, and they would also go in front of Force India into 4th place. As we see Verline making the move on Gary Puffett before turn 1, and that is mission accomplished for the German as he gets through. And Becchetta has been overtaken by Hartley now. Hartley was able to get through ahead of him. Into 16th position he goes. And we go back to Calderon, who's only 5 seconds off Ericsson. Made that 4.8. There's a butt marker between them. Now we see Verline making the move there on the Colony of Alguersuari, and has he got the move done? He has done. Phenomenal overtake there from Verline. He is through. He's not going to catch Ericsson and Calderon. I don't think he's too far back. But you can see the gap between Ericsson and Calderon has come down to 4.5 seconds. 14 laps remaining. There's another couple of butt markers ahead, of which Ericsson will have to negotiate. Calderon will be coming up behind Alexander Rossi in a moment. You can see them there. Calderon will want to get through as soon as she can. Start wheeling in the Swede in front. And now we see Bortolotti trying to make a move on Callum Ilott for 12th place. There is Verline, who's pulling away now from Alguersuari and Puffett. That's Calderon. So has to fight her way through past Rossi for 14th position. As Ericsson makes his way through. Coming up to a couple of back markers shortly. Calderon will still continue to go like clockwork and catch her fellow rival. She needs this result, does Calderon, to keep her in the running for the driver's title. She can move in front of Ericsson. She'll go ahead of him in the championship. But also close to within 11 points of Verline with 3 races left. And you can see Ericsson running wide there on the exit of turn number 3. That will encourage Calderon. But the pit stops are pretty much done and dusted now. And it's just a mad dash to the finish. Will we see any late drama that will change the complexion of the race, and the race for promotion, and the race for the teams and drivers' cycles in League 2? We've got the League 1 race coming up after this, so do not go anywhere. If this race is anything to go by, goodness knows what League 1 could end up being. The gap between Ericsson and Calderon is down to 2.5 seconds. And Ericsson has not got through on Isla or Bortolotti yet, according to the graphic, as Hartley goes wide at the same corners where he went off earlier, but he was able to keep the car on the circuit this time. And all we'll be hoping for is for the checker flag to be coming out anytime soon, really. And we see Ericsson in P3 behind the Carlin. Ericsson coming up to lap Callum Ilott now. He's got through no problem. And obviously Verlaine's got through ahead of Lima. Or was that Bichetta? I'm not too sure who that is, actually. I think it might be Bichetta thinking of it. But there is Ericsson. And now Gary Paffett is going for a move on Alguersuari into turn 1. This is important. Paffett through into 4th place. Brilliant move by the Brit. Gets through ahead of the Coloni. And there'll be a punch in the air from team manager from Ross McGregor. Ross McGregor will be very, very happy with this one. To see his drivers up that high. And now Calderon laps the LaRousse of Callum Ilott. And Ericsson is coming up behind Mirko Bortolotti. And the gap between him and Calderon, to be honest, you don't really need the gap to tell you. I can tell you it's 1.4. Ericsson cannot afford to get stuck behind Bortolotti if he is to win this race. Probably do it into that back straight before the Ascari bend. Calderon is closing down all the time though. And we see Camille Sato behind Oliver Rowland. Now, if Bortolotti was to get lapped, Dennis and Rowland will only lose 1 position each, and Dennis would stay in the points. Bortolotti is holding up Ericsson, and Ericsson will be very, very livid with that. Bortolotti holds him up, and that's allowed Calderon to close to within half a second of the Fonmetal now. Ericsson has to get by the Dams Vion if he's going to win this race. Calderon is waiting to pounce on the Fonmetal ahead now. They come out of the last braking zone through the kink onto the pit straight. Ericsson gets through. Calderon gets through ahead of the back marker. Will she go for it into turn 1 for the lead of the Lead 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix? Calderon up the inside and she's through into the lead, and the crowd go berserk with delight. Tatiana Calderon, who was at the back of the field at the early stages of the race, is through into the lead ahead of her title rival Marcus Ericsson. And who would have thought of that? In the early stages, she is on course for a 3rd win of the campaign, and more importantly, seal Mascot Layla's return to League 1 next season. Incredible stuff! Incredible! Ericsson will feel he got held up by the Dance Vion of Mirko Bortolotti. But do not take anything away from the courage and determination from Tatiana Calderon in the Mascot Lola. Some will say, well, she's in the most powerful car on the circuit, but you've got to be at your best if you're going to win in this Grand Prix, in the Grand Prix World Series. And Calderon was just on form, never gave up. She came back into it after that spin, which sent her to the back of the pack. a sensational, sensational move. Despite that Batmog who was ahead of him. And to be the bearer of bad news for team manager Chris Hosey of the LaRue squad, Alexander Rossi is going to be pulling out of this race. And is that going to spell the chance, or spell the end of LaRue's chances of promotion this season? And Rossi will pull off at turn 1, and he is gone from this race. That's the 10th retirement in this one. It looks like a puncher there for Rossi, given the way that the right rear is lifting off the ground. He was at the back of the field anyway. Brendan Hartley and Luciano Piquetta will move up positions. Fabio Lima also moving up to 14th. Ericsson is over 2 seconds behind Calderon. On that 46, he'll have to settle for second place now. But not only does that change things in the race for promotion and the team's championship, well, I say it changes in the team's championship, but most certainly the drivers. Calderon will be 11 points behind Pascal Wehrlein as it stands. Mick Schumacher will be in delight also, who's sat in the garage to watch something totally out of this world and sublime. We saw Dan Titzer make a lot of that. He's into 8th position, which will be his best result and his first points in the Grand Prix World Series. And if he was to stay there, that'll move Real onto double figures for this season. That's going to please Ed Hunter, who's had little to smile about this season, but today is definitely a day where he can at least smile. His teammate Mike Conway pulled out of this race early on with mechanical gremlins. Titson has just got to hope he keeps his car going all the way to the end without any more mistakes and without any mechanical gremlins. We can see Calderon in the race leader's path. It comes up to lap. Well, it looks like Luciano Piquetta into the far chicane there in the first sector of the lap. And McNish has got through on Alguersuari for 5th place. We haven't seen the overtake. Which we did see the overtake. But McNish is through on the Spaniard at last into 5th place. As it stands with the positions as they are, both Fonmetal and Mars Cordlela will seal promotion to League One for next season. And there's a problem for Alguersuari, who's going to be pulling out of the race with an engine problem. That explains why McNish got through. And after a spirited race and a brilliant one in Valencia that saw Alguersuari finish on the podium, he's not going to finish this time, unfortunately. And he's going to be pulling off the circuit right now, and he is gone from this race. So after being in 5th position for so long, Alguersuari retires from the Lead 2 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. That promotes Lundgaard to 6th, Tickton up to 7th, Dennis 8th, Roland 9th, and Kamir Sato in 10th. And in actual fact, Kamir Sato will move up 2 more positions because of Dennis and Roland's time penalties. Now it gets even better for Pacific. They were to get 22 championship points from this one. They'll go in front of Dome and Force India, and they would move on to 111 points, just 12 off 3rd place Pacific. Given the form they have been in, unlike Pacific, you could say that they are favourites to get the final promotion spot to League One for next season. And in their first campaign in the Grand Prix World Series, it's quite some effort from Ross McGregor, the team manager of the squad. And the 15 drivers left in the race now. Luciano Piquetta should go in front of Alguersuari, which he does so now. And all the drivers left in the race are all those that you can see on the timing page on the left-hand side. And there is Verline in 3rd position. He will keep hold of the championship lead. If he was to drop out now, Calderon will go back into the lead of the League 2 Drivers' Championship. Tatiana Calderon, 6 laps away from a memorable victory. She doesn't have a home race in the Grand Prix World Series, despite the fact that there are 3 South American races in Argentina, Brazil and Venezuela. But she will feel this is some form of home race where a lot of her Colombian fans have come all the way to Buenos Aires to see their beloved hero turn up and put on most definitely the performance of her Grand Prix World Series career so far. They could not have dreamt of a better day to burst into tears to see something truly sensational from the Mascot Lola pilot. Now she's got through and Camille Sartre to lap. Now she's got the Zach Speed and the Andrea Moda ahead to put a lap on as well. As Oliver Lynn tries to make a move on Jake Dennis ahead. And Calderon will get through on the inside to lap the Zach Speed, who looks to be scoring nothing today. Calderon will get through ahead of Dennis before the lap is out, I think. So late on the brakes, later on the brakes than the Andrea Moda. Ericsson in P2. And Calderon will lap Dennis now. Dennis will want to stay in front of Roland and near Sarto. Sarto will want to try and get through ahead of him on the track, so he can go after Dan Tixon. He hasn't got a lot of laps left to do it now. There is Pascal Verline in 3rd place. We'll be getting 27 points on this one. Mascot Lola will also be getting 27, which means the gap between both will be 38, which is nearly the equivalent of a maximum score for a round. So if Mascot Lola are going to be winning the team's championship, they need to outdo Fomitel in the remaining races to do it. For now, though, they can focus on sealing promotion today. And almost like a car that's spun on the track there. That's actually Jaime Alguersuari's car that you can see in the background there, in case you're wondering what that glitch may be. And that's basically after the equivalent of the corkscrew section that you'll see at Laguna Seca, which is also is known as the Center S on this track, of which Ericsson has just gone through. There is Dan Tixon about to be lapped by Tatiana Calderon. This will be Real's best result of the season. 6 points coming into this race. That is set to be doubled should Tictum stay there. And Sarto is in front of Roland now into 9th place. So doesn't have to be stuck behind him for too much longer now. For any longer. Don't think Calderon is going to encounter any more back markers from here on in. Though Lundgaard, I think, is around about 7 or 8 seconds ahead. And now how quick the Mascot Lola has been in comparison to the Coloni. Great day for Ram, picking up 3rd and 4th. Sorry, 4th and 5th, I should say. I think, as it stands, Dennis and Roland will both drop out the points because they're on the same lap as Bortolotti, Eilert and co. We'll have a look on the final classification once everything has been applied. Not only will Dennis and Roland serve those time penalties for collisions of which they have caused, or for unsafe rejoins, Dennis causing the Constantina collision involving Camille Sarto and Sergio Sette Camera on the opening lap. And later on in the event, Oliver Rowland went off the circuit at turn number 4 and rejoined into the path of Nelson Piquet Jr., which meant that the Dance Fine had to come into the pits for a new front wing. And so Rowland picked up a 30-second time penalty for an unsafe rejoin, which is very lucky because had he taken out Nelson Piquet Jr. completely there, he would have had to serve a race ban. As we see Calderon lock up there. One final scare perhaps for team manager Marcus Johansson. We'll say Rowland and Dennis will serve back of the grid jobs for the next race in Curitiba, Brazil, which will be another of the new venues in the Grand Prix Series this season, as Brendan Hartley comes in for a late pit stop, and that will hand 14th position to Luciano Piquetta. Maybe a chance for Brendan Hartley to go for the fastest lap, but it's highly unlikely. As we see Dennis ahead of Kimi Sato. I think Sato's going to pull alongside in a moment here. He's up the inside of the Andrea Moda, and Sato's move is about to be completed as Brendan Hartley came out of the pits there and nearly taking out the dome as he rejoins. Sato gets through, but that so nearly could have ended in tears. And with the fond metal of Pascal Wehrlein for... Oh, that's not Wehrlein, that's Ericsson who stopped behind that lot. He could have been out of it. We're now on the final lap of the race. Tatiana Calderon has put on a splendid performance. The drive of the season. Perhaps even the drive in the history of the Grand Prix World Series. It'll be win number 3 of her career and for the season. After being pretty much dead last after her spin in the opening stages, she has fought hard, played hard, and played with integrity and very, very well with the strategy. Is about to come through and complete her final lap to keep herself in the running for the driver's title. Tatiana Calderon exits the kink to win the lead to Buenos Aires Grand Prix, to send her Colombian fans into delight once again, but nothing like ever before. She has put on the drive of her career. Marcus Ericsson will come home in second place to keep himself in the hunt for the championship as well, but want to go to Pascal Wehrlein. He's going to come home in third place and is about to achieve promotion for the Fond Metal team. They are going up to League 1 next season, and with the Rams finishing 4th and 5th, Marscard Layla's promotion to League 1 is also achieved. There it is on the graphic at the bottom. Both Fond Metal and Marscard Layla are going up to League 1 for Season 4. Ewan Gale and Marcus Johansson can celebrate in delight in the garages. The wait is over. Marscard Layla, after the torrid time they had in Season 2 last season with only 5 points, have bounced back at the first time of asking. For Fond Metal, it's pretty much a similar scenario, only 5 points last season in League 2. What a contrast. They have gone up as well. Both of those teams will be racing in League 1 next season. Gary Paffett is 4th, Alan Minish is 5th for Ram, and Christian Lundgaard, the last driver on the lead lap, in 6th for Coloni. But there is your race winner, Tatiana Calderon for Marscard Lola. Marcus Ericsson in 2nd place ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Then we've got the 2 Rams of Gary Paffett and Alan McNish in 4th and 5th. Christian Lundgaard 6th, had a Dan Tixon bringing Real's best result of the season in 7th. Kimi Sato 8th, Mirko Bortolotti in 9th, and Callum Eilert picking up the final point in 10th place, his first point in a while as well. Outside the points, we've got Fabio Lima in 11th, Jake Dennis in 12th, and Oliver Earl in 13th. Their time penalties have been applied. Luciano Piquetta in 14th, and Brendan Hartley, the last finisher, in 15th, and 2 laps down. Jaime Alguersuari, Alexander Rossi, Sergio Sette Camara, Nelson Piquet Jr., Andre Lotterer, Dan Bird, Mike Conway, Mick Schumacher, who went out after crashing at turn 1. Jack Aiken retiring with engine problems. Takuma Sato also out with throttle problems, and Rafael Marcello crashing out after only 2 corners. The point for pole position, went to Mick Schumacher. The point for the fast lap also went to Mick Schumacher. In more important matters, it's a day to remember for Marscard Layla and for Fond Metal. They have achieved enough today to seal promotion to League One. The race for the team's title is still very much on between those two. The race for the League 2 Drivers' title is still very much on between Marcus Ericsson, Pascal Wehrlein and Tatiana Calderon. Wehrlein is still in the lead in the championship race, but his lead has been cut down to 11 points by something quite special from the Colombian Tatiana Calderon. If that race is anything to go by, do not go anywhere. The League 1 race should be something brilliant as well. I'll leave for Topher Smith to run down on the Drivers' Championship and the Team's Championship in League 2. What a race. Congratulations to Tatiana Calderon taking her third win of the season. And to the team managers of Ewan Gale and Marcus Johansson. Von Mattel and MasterCard Lola are going up.
Wow, what an incredible race that was. So much action going on in Buenos Aires. And a huge congratulations to both Von Mattel and MasterCard Lola for sealing promotion into League One next season. I remember speaking to Ewan Gale this a while ago at the end of Season 2. He said he wasn't taking it too seriously, didn't want to build a particularly fast car for Season 2, but he was planning to take it more seriously for Season 3 and aim for promotion, and he has done exactly that. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to Marcus Johansson as well. Von Mattel and MasterCard Lola are going up to League One in Season 4. But what has that done to the standings for today? Let's start off by looking at the drivers. Pascal Wehrlein is in the lead on 159 points over Tatiana Calderon on 148. Marcus Ericsson on 142 with Mick Schumacher on 99 and Brendan Hartley also on 99. And the line there underneath Brendan Hartley signifying that only the top 5 can now mathematically win the League 2 drivers title. So the likes of Jack Aitken, Gary Paffett, Alexander Rossi, Kimi Sato and Lucas Di Grassi now all out of it. Only Wehrlein, Calderon, Ericsson, Schumacher or Hartley can win the championship this season. And it's going to be an incredible last 3 races of the season to see who wins that. And in League 2 team standings, as we've already found out from Tom, Von Mattel and MasterCard Lola are promoted into League 1 for next season. And mathematically, only Von Mattel or MasterCard Lola can still win this championship. So the fight is very much between those two as to who will win the championship. But also, any of the other 11 teams on the grid can still mathematically get promotion, although, of course, some are more a realistic option than others. It's looking likely to be between Pacific, Ground Force India and Dome at this point. And the likes of Zach Speed and Coloni starting to drop away a bit too far now. But we will keep an eager eye over the last 3 races of the season to see who comes out on top and earns that coveted League 1 spot for Season 4. But with League 2 now done and dusted for today, let's move on to League 1. And heading into today's race, Scott Dixon still holding on to the lead of the driver standings, looking to make it 2 titles in a row for the Kiwi. Nick De Vries and Antonio Fix da Costa, 2nd and 3rd in standings, chasing down the Simtek for all they are worth. Pato Award is 4th on 95 ahead of Will Power on 82. Kamui Kobayashi and Grosjean, the 2 manners, equal 6th at the moment with 60 points each. Sebastian Buemi in the Leighton House is 8th ahead of Alex Linton in the HRT, and Paul de Resta in the Super Guri still hanging on to a top 10 spot. In the team standings, Minardi lead the way on 228 points and are the red-hot favourites to take this title now. Simtek on 197 ahead of Leighton House on 175. Manor moving clear of Arrows as it stands at the moment, 158 points to 136. Super Guri, the reigning champions in 6th, are on 78 ahead of HRT on 73. Prost on 63 ahead of Onyx and BAR, that's your top 10 for the League 1 team standings. And at risk of relegation into League 2 for next season, AGS on 23, Midland on 14 and 40 Corsi on 6. Now we have 2 driver changes to look at for today's League 1 race, the first of which is at the AGS team headed up by Lewis Bassendale. Alex Palou picking up his 2nd race ban of the season. Last time he was replaced by Sebastian Ogier. This time he will be replaced by Zach O'Sullivan, who makes his debut in the Grand Prix World Series, and Lewis Bassendale, I'm sure, will be keeping a keen eye on O'Sullivan's progress as he wonders whether to maybe make him into a permanent race driver, at least for the remainder of the season. We'll see how he gets on today. And the second and final driver change to bring you for the League 1 race today is at the 40 Corsi team. Jehan Daravala has lost his seat after some disappointing results, and Louis Delatraz will make his debut in the Grand Prix World Series with the same team that his father also raced for in the Grand Prix World Series. Jean-Denis Delatraz raced in Season 1 for Dave Goddard's team, and now Louis Delatraz will make his debut here today. And we wish him the best of luck, and we'll see how he gets on in that race seat. And before we get underway, we will take a look at the grid for today's race. And a bit of a surprise one here today. We're used to seeing the Minardis at the front, but after the upgrade window and some strong upgrades for the Manor team, they have put it first and second on the grid. Jose Maria Lopez puts it on pole position for his home race today ahead of Kamui Kobayashi in second. Danny Junkendaya also having a very strong run for third in the Arrows, ahead of the first Minardi on the grid, which is Nick De Vries in fourth. Willpower fifth in the Leighton House ahead of Antonio Fix da Costa in the second Minardi in sixth. Scott Dixon, our reigning champion and championship leader, seventh, ahead of Jean-Eric Verne, Luke Browning and Pato O'Ward, one of the championship contenders, 10th in the Arrows, 9/10 of a second off the pace in qualifying. Alex Lynn and HRT will be 11th ahead of Sebastian Buemi. Marco Wittmann 13th in the second Prost ahead of Robin Freins in the Super Aguri. Sebastian Bourdais is ahead of Sean Galeal, and then Nick Yellowly, Roy Nissany, Felipe Nasser and Naoki Yamamoto make up the top 20, the two Midlands, doing a good job there to not be on the final page of the qualifying results here. Paul de Resta, 21st in the Super Aguri ahead of Nicholas Latifi in the BAR. Zach O'Sullivan on his debut will be 23rd in the AGS ahead of Antonio Fuoco, another disappointing qualifying for the Italian there. Louis Delatraz on his qualifying debut will be 25th, and at the back Colton Hurta in the AGS, a disappointing day for him. Well, we have nothing else to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking forward to the start of this one, and if League 2 is anything to go by, League 1 should be an absolute blinder as well. Ready and waiting in the commentary box to take you through all the action. It's back down to Tom Cairns.
What a moment this is for Jose Maria Lopez on home turf. Is on pole position in only his fourth race for Manor. Can he convert it into his first Grand Prix World Series victory after being on the podium 8 times in his career? The 5 red lights are coming on now. When they extinguish, we'll be going racing for one last time in Buenos Aires. It's lights out, and away we go. Lopez getting off to a really good start, but not as good as Kobayashi, who's got the better of him. They're about to go side by side into turn 1 now. Lopez on the outside, Kobayashi on the inside. Lopez keeps his foot in it. They're about to go side by side into turn 2. There's an off involving Will Power and one of the Simtacs. And Power's come back on into the path of someone. Disappointing start for Will Power, who is in desperate need of some good form, as to Leighton House. We saw one of the Minardi's coming through. That was Da Costa getting through brilliantly up into third place. And actually, there was an involvement involving Buemi, Castaneves, Power and the Simtech of what looked like Will Browning, who had gone off the circuit. Or was it Dixon? It might have been Dixon, the championship leader. We'll have a look as they go into turn 1. Da Costa making a very good start. And I think Dixon just gets sandwiched in between the two Leighton Houses almost. He's gone off the circuit with a broken front wing. And I wonder what the steward's going to be saying on that one. Buemi got through. Dixon in need of a new front wing, but we also want to have a look at Will Power because he came back onto the circuit into the path of another driver. So Buemi on the inside of Dixon there. Will the stewards take any action to that? We'll find out in due course. I wonder what they're going to say about Will Power. By the way, he's rejoined back onto the circuit as well. So Dixon rejoins. And no further action is going to be taken as we see Galeal go for a spin. Also, he's come together with someone. Now, what's happened there involving Galeal? He has picked up an issue. Will Power gets a 10-second time penalty for an unsafe rejoin. And Galeal has come back into the path there of the Prost and causing absolute mayhem behind. That was Marco Wittmann, of which he tangled there. And there's a front wing gun also on Jean-Eric Verne's car. So Prost's race hasn't got off to the best of starts either. Verne is without a front wing. DD caused the collision with Sean Galeal, I wonder. Didn't quite see what the outcome was involving Galeal, but I can imagine he'll have picked up a time penalty for that. So Kobayashi leads, Lopez second, Da Costa, Junkendaya, De Vries, Buemi, Browning, Bourdais, O'Ward and Freins are in the top 10. A chaotic start in this race, as it was in League 2. Kobayashi getting off to a good start. He hasn't won in the Grand Prix World Series since the season opener in Taupo in Season 2 when he was an Arrows driver. He did take victory on the road in Dijon-Bourgogne, but a time penalty for an unsafe rejoin cost him the victory to Pato O'Ward. Now we're right on board with Lopez. He's able to get it back from here. Verne comes into the pits for a new front wing, and so will Dixon. they make their way through turn number 6. As DeCosso's in 3rd place now, in red-hot form, has won the last 2 races. Can he make it 3 in a row? Become the first driver in the history of the Grand Prix Series to win in 3 consecutive rounds. Now you can see Nick de Vries behind Danny Juncadella, who's running in 4th place. You've got de Vries, Buemi, Browning, Bourdais, O'Ward and Friends. Alexson outside the points in 11th, then it's Will Power in 12th. As we see Marco Wittmann, who's running in 16th place, locks up into the hairpin. He's able to keep the car on the racetrack. Good damage so far for Wittmann, luckily. As we see Delatraz coming off with a rear wheel off his car. Now Louis Delatraz on his Grand Prix World Series debut has had an incident with another driver. Is that the Super Aguri up the inside there? It is. And I think that is Sacco Sullivan, is it? No, it has to be someone else, because I think it might have been Paul di Resta. Now, Paul di Resta, who had been given a race ban earlier in the season for taking out another driver in Dijon Bourgogne, is going to be hit with the same punishment, I think. Yeah, came too far back and punted Delatraz off the racetrack, and Delatraz's race is already finished before the end of lap 2. So Delatraz retires from the League 1 Buenos Aires Grand Prix, and that plunges 40 closer to League 2 for next season. And we're about to see what the stewards' verdict will be on the incident involving di Resta, and he's been given a 1 race ban and a disqualification from this race. So di Resta will be out of the next race in Curitiba. So the incident involving Galale on that one resulted in him picking up a 10-second time penalty, for your information. So wherever he ends up, 10 seconds will be applied to his race time. So we've got Will Power, who's going to be picking up a time penalty for an unsafe rejoin. I think it was 10 seconds that he picked up, it might have been 20, I can't quite remember. There is Lopez running in 2nd place behind teammate Kamui Kobayashi. Now, the driver's cycle seems like a long shot for Manor at the moment, but the team's championship is still possible. If they can get a 1-2 out of this one, they are right back in the mix against Minardi, Simtek and Co. We see Kobayashi completing lap number 3. He's got the fastest up of the race so far, 1:25.6. Lopez in P2, DaCosta 3rd. And with Dixon in the pits, that changed the situation in the championship quite significantly as Galeo gets through ahead of Nick Yellerly for 13th. Now, if Dixon finishes outside the points and DaCosta finishes in 3rd place, that will get the gap down between those two to 27 points. And if de Vries will fall down to 3rd position, he'll still pick up 10 points from this race. He'll be 3 points off DaCosta and 30 off Dixon in the race for the title in the Drivers' Championship. There was a 10-second time penalty also for Will Power, so not 20 seconds, as though at the first thought. So wherever Power will end up in this race, 10 seconds will be applied to his time, which will be the same for Galale. Paul di Resta, after taking out Louis Delatraz at the hairpin there after the Ascari bend, will be disqualified from this race and will be banned for the next round in Curitiba. Kobayashi with another knee fast up of the race. Is he on a lighter fuel load, I wonder, compared to his teammate Lopez? There we see Felipe Nasser running in 15th position in the Midlands. They are in need of some good points today. They are 16 points from safety, They are holding the 10th and final survival spot. It's unlikely any of the others will be going down this season. So it's looking like 3 from 4. AGS went into this one 10th with 30. AGS in 11th with 23. Midland in 12th with 14 and 40 in 13th with 6 points. And 40, just to remind you, have not scored since the opening race of the season in Sepang. It's unlikely they'll add to their score here. So Galale, who's running in 13th position, is a couple of seconds behind Willpower. And you can see Sebastian Buemi in 6th place, behind Nick de Vries. Jose Maria Lopez in P2. He's finished twice in that position. The first couple of races he's done for them. Hockenheim and Panonia. He ended up 9th overall after coming into the pits for a late mechanical issue. Jose Maria Lopez, who's finished on the podium 8 times in his Grand Prix World Series career, but has yet to taste the race-winning champagne. And Scott Dixon on fresh tyres has posted a new fastest lap of the race in the Simtech. That's important actually, because if he can keep hold of that, that'll help his championship chances. And de Vries is ahead of Buemi for 5th place. Browning, Bourdais, O'Ward and Lynn make up the point scores, and Onyx could well do with some points as well. Onyx, who sit 32 points above the drop zone. It's unlikely they'll go down, but they'll want to mathematically seal their survival before the last race of the season in Laguna Seca. Now, the highest of all those who are battling for survival, in the teams that are battling for survival, the bottom 4 teams, that would be Felipe Nasr in 15th. We can see Zachary Sullivan, who's making his debut this round. He's running in 22nd place, just in front of his teammate Colton Herter. And Scott Dixon is right behind John Eric Verne in the battle for 24th place. He'll be looking to make his way through the field as well. Now we see Alex Lynn almost running wide ahead of the Super Aguri of Robin Frines. And we see Colton Herter go for a spin and into the gravel. And the front wing is gone on that car. And he'll need to make an early trip to the pits. And that just adds salt into the wounds in what's been an absolutely disastrous season for Colton Herter. Hasn't scored in the last 9 races. And it's only just got worse for him here. He'll want to get out of the gravel track safe and sound. Taking a long time to get out of there. Saw what happened with Brendan Hartley and Sergio Sette Camera in the League 2 race. And he's back on circuit now, and Colton Herter is down to 25th and last position, and he's going to need to come back in for a new front wing. There's Kobayashi in the race at the moment. Right on board with Paul Di Resta, who will be disqualified from the event for taking out Louis Delatraz. I don't think team manager Michael Gillespie will have any complaints on that. Should Di Resta not take part, as he gets overtaken by Nicholas Latifi. The driver who will be set to replace him will be Ollie Berman, who stood in for him in Brands Hatch a few rounds ago. Ollie Berman will get another go in the seat next time out in Curitiba. Lopez second, DaCosta third, Junkendaya holding a brilliant 4th place so far ahead of De Vries. Buemi 6th, Browning in a fine 7th for Simtech. And we've got Bourdais, who we are focusing on, locking up into the left-hander after the quick left and right handers, and he's heading towards the centre S now. He's still in front of Pato Ward and Alex Lynn. Now the race winner here last season, Sebastian Bourdais, who won out to keep his and Onyx's chances in both championships alive. Going into the last race at Laguna Seca, it's very unlikely he'll repeat it here. As we see Colton Herta get lapped by the manner of Kamui Kobayashi. He'll need to move out of the way of Jose Maria Lopez very shortly as well. It's going to be another lonely race for Colton Herta. You can see Dixon is right behind Verne now, but he's dropped back a little bit because he locked up into the centre S. Colton Herta on the fresher tyres. He's closing in. Fines has fallen out of the points for your information. Power's ahead of him now. As Sue Fines lock up ahead of Galeo. As they make their way through. Make their way through. As Lopez stopped behind the AGS now. Herta needs to obey the blue flags and stay out of the way here. He does stay out of the way, although he held... Oh, he's gone off again though as Herta. Needs to be careful, does not return into the path of the Minardi, and he has done! And I have to say, that was completely inflicted by the man himself. And Taylor Fitzgerald is very, very lucky to stay in this race. But what was Colton Herta doing there? The way he rejoined was utterly disgraceful. And he'll need to come back into the pits again for a new front wing and rear wing. Now, this is not Da Costa's fault by any means, because he has no right to just have to slow down to avoid Colton Herta. So that was completely dangerous from the Americans' point of view. But Herta has found himself with more work to do than desired. And it's a 10-second time penalty to the American for the unsafe rejoin. But I think that's hardly relevant now, given how far back in the field he will be by the time this race is over. I wonder what team manager Louis Bastendale will say on that as well. Oh, has he come back into the path of another driver? No, that's the car getting back into more racing type manner, although he's got no front wing or rear wing to his car. Just needs to be careful it doesn't cause any more issues to the drivers behind. As we see Fries lock up in front of Galeo. They're fighting for 12th and 13th. Now, for your information about Scott Dixon, don't know if he's ahead of Verne just yet. My assumption is that he's not quite so. As Herta runs wide yet again, and the wheels come off. The wheel has come off the AGS, and his race is finally over. Now, what's happened here? Well, he tried to stay out of the way of the Super Aguri of Paul di Resta. Oh, he got tangled with the 40, and he in fact took out the 40 of Roy Nissany. That is utterly unprofessional, stupid, and completely unacceptable. I cannot believe he's done that. Colton Herta. He caused a huge problem there, and it's resulted in Roy Nissany up in the air, and that could well have plunged both AGS and 40 into relegation for League 2 next season. And Nissany out on the spot there. Dave Goddard will be absolutely furious with the way Colton Herta has moved across on Nissany there. Both Herta and Nissany are out of the race, and there'll be a race ban coming Colton Herta's way for sure, and a disqualification from this event. We're just waiting for confirmation from the stewards to see what the... And in actual fact, neither driver predominantly was to blame for it. Now that is very interesting because it looked like Colton Herta, with the broken front wing and rear wing, seemed to have caused more issues than one to take out Roy Nissany. I felt that was more in Herta's part more than anything else. But seemingly the stewards have taken the decision to call that as a racing incident. Subject to appeal. But the stewards have determined that no driver was to be predominantly to blame for that collision. I mean, I personally think that was Herta's fault, in all honesty, but I'm not the steward. Kobayashi comes over the line to complete lap number 11. Lopez second, DaCosta third, and we've got Juncadella, De Vries, Buemi, Browning, O'Ward, and Bourdais, who's dropped back now. He's lost 2 positions from the last time we saw Bourdais, which is not going to please team manager Ryan Ferris. At least his teammate Antonio Frocco has not been in the wars. He's still in the races, Frocco. We've not seen any of him yet in this one. But he has struggled for pace in recent races, has Frocco. There is Kobayashi in the race lead. Lopez in second still. It's a manner 1 and 2. They have never achieved a 1-2 in the history of their Grand Prix World Series history. Sam Howell has been in charge of them since the Grand Prix World Series' inception in 2020. Brendan Hartley took victory for them here in Season 1. Looks like Kobayashi and Lopez are going to be on their way to victory unless anything happens to them in terms of the pit stops or any problems of their own. But DaCosta will be very happy in terms of where he is for the sake of the championship, as will Nick De Vries. Will we see Scott Dixon back into the points before this race is over? Will he do what Tatiana Calderon did earlier in the lead 2 event? As we see Will Power dive into the inside of Sebastian Bourdais, and the Australian goes back up into the points. DaCosta in third place, ahead of Juncadella, you can see in the background. Now DaCosta has retired from the last 2 races he's done here. His debut for MasterCard Lola in Season 1. Dropped out on the last lap whilst running in third place after starting from the back of the grid. Retired with mechanical problems, and that really hurts his chances in the race for the title. And you can see Galileo there about to be overtaken by Nick Yellowly. Has Galileo picked up an issue? It looks like he has, because he's not going as quickly as he should be, and we're going to see what the issue is for the BAR driver, but I would think he's going to be pulling into the pits to get the problem sorted out. We'll find out what it is, and it's an electrical issue for the Indonesian. An early pit stop there for Will Knight's team, and that will allow Antonio Frocco to go up into 15th position. Not a good race for BAR so far, but at least they've got both cars still running, unlike 40. And Felipe Nasser, who's running in 14th place, has some form of chance to get into the points today. With Power serving a 10-second time penalty for an unsafe rejoin, he'll fall out of the points. Nasser will move in front. Still a long way to go yet in this. And Fines has moved in front of Bourdais for 11th position. Go back to the front. Kobayashi still leads. Lopez in second position. Getting towards the first round of pit stops. And we see Sacco Sullivan going to combat with Scott Dixon for 20th position. Dixon managed to get in front of Vern, for your information. And we see DaCosta crossing over the line. Still in third place as we speak. And Galeo, who's just come out of the pits, has gone over the curb and stayed on the circuit. Kobayashi in the race lead as Sacco Sullivan gets overtaken by Scott Dixon. And that was not the hardest overtake that Dixon's had to make this season. He's through at last, and now he'll go after Paul di Resta. DaCosta in P3 ahead of Yokandaya and De Vries. Whilst we talk about this season coming towards its climax, from Mattel and Mars Cordela already achieving promotion earlier today. Look to the Season 4 calendar of next season. But we'll see them racing Hikara Pagua in Brazil, Buenos Aires in Argentina, which we're racing today at. And we've got Monterrey in Mexico, Barber in the US, Montjuic Park in Spain, Dijon-Bourgogne in France, Mugello in Italy, Nürburgring, Germany, Istanbul, Turkey, Pärnu, Estonia, Anderstorp, Sweden, Zhuhai, China, Autopolis, Japan, Yongan in South Korea, Sepang in Malaysia, and Service Paradise in Australia for the season finale. And that looks like Sebastian Bourdais has gone for a spin. Now, has he picked up an issue that's caused that spin, or has he done that by himself? It looks like he'd done it by himself there, did Bourdais. We'll see what the issue actually is. He's not coming back onto the racetrack very, very quickly because he's having to wait for the traffic to go by. And there's more cars coming by. And that's Onyx's race ruined there with Bourdais spinning like that. And there's another car coming through. Gets back onto the track now, and Bourdais is in last place. He's wrecked his front wing. How's the Frenchman? And he's wrecked it even more. Don't make any more damage, Sebastian. He's back on the circuit, but he'll need to come back in for a new front wing. And now we can see Luke Browning locking up at the centre S. He's able to keep the car going this time. He's locked up in front of Ward and Lynn. I wonder if we've seen any scheduled pit stops from the leaders. Well, we are now, because Buemi is coming in at the end of lap 16. Kobayashi, Lopez, DaCosta, Yongadea and De Vries in the top 5. Minardi have done well to keep both cars in the race so far. They have done so in the last 2 races. Now we can see Dixon pulling off a move on Paul di Resta into turn 1. And that's 18th place going in the way of the Kiwi. Vern has got through on O'Sullivan at the same time. Three retirements so far. Colton Herter, Roy Nissany and Louis Delatraz are the drivers out as Sebastian Bourdais comes in for repairs. So we see Browning, Oak, Ward, Lynn, Power and Fines coming through. Will any of them duck into the pits? The answer is no. There's Wittmann running in 14th place behind Froko. You see Fines coming into the pits. Froko likewise. So you see the leads coming through. Yamamoto also heading for the pits. You see DaCosta, who's got Bourdais right behind him. He's trying to lap him. Froko coming into the pits. Rejoining 22nd position, I'd have thought. And there's Dixon on the inside of the Super Aguri of Robin Fines this time, who's just come out of the pits. And Dixon is through into 15th. And bad news for Alex Johnston. His driver, Felipe Nasr, who was running well, is out of the race in the Midlands. And that's another retirement and another step closer to the League One trapdoor. Disappointment for Nasr and disappointment to the team. Hardly anything has gone right for them this campaign. And Alex Lynn has darts into the pits for HRT. Will rejoin out of the points, but still in the running for a good result today, as O'Ward pits in also. There will Lynn rejoin. Lynn is out ahead of Dixon in 12th place. Dixon moves up another position as a result of Naz's retirement. We may well get a points finish out of this after all. And now we can see Dixon, who's right behind Alex Lynn in the battle for 12th position. Lynn will be on fresher tyres though. Lynn has had the tyres he is on since the beginning of lap 2. He's yet to pit in at the end of the opening lap for repairs. Kobayashi comes down the line. Lopez in second place, 3 seconds off him. And ahead of Lynn, you can see Nico Satifi. He's had to serve he's had to serve a race ban already this season for taking out Adrian Sutil in Dijon Bourgogne. The same also in Senso when he took out Alex Palou. He had to miss the next race in Fuji. Giovinazzi stood in for him for both of those races. Now there's Kobayashi in first place, doing a fine job. Podressa is about to be overtaken by Sean Galeao. Gets through on him quite easily as Dixon comes in for his second stop. And there's an off involving the Super Aguri and the Arrows. Di Resta has taken out another driver as he pulls off the circuit. Now Galeao got through on him quite easily. I was wondering how easily Galeao got through on him there, because that looked too easy from Di Resta's point of view. He had Patsaward right behind him, and I think he's taken him out as a result. Now Award, who had just been in the pits for a scheduled pit stop. There was a wheel lost in that. Now, was that Di Resta's wheel, or was that Award's wheel? Yeah, I mean, Di Resta just took Patsu Award off, and I think Award's wheel has come off, so that's both Award and Di Resta out of the race. And Di Resta will be picking up another race ban for that, I would have thought. It's just poor self-awareness, really. And what will the stewards say on that one? It's a one race ban for Di Resta. So he's out of not only the next race in Curitiba, he's also out of the next one after that in San Carlos, Venezuela. and Ollie Berman will stand in for him for both of those events. It's been a pretty average season for Super Aguri in Michael Gillespie's first season with the team. And there we can see Scott Dixon, who did his scheduled pit stop, he's come back out in front of the two leaders who are about to lap him. Marco Wittmann's come into the pits for Prost. He's behind Verne and Galeo. He's behind O'Sullivan now as well. 5 drivers out of this race then. O'Ward, De Resta, Nissani, Herta and Delatraz. And that collision there for O'Ward has pretty much spelled the end of his cycle challenge now. He came into this round 56 points with only 4 races left, and we can see an off there. That looks like Marco Wittmann, who's made a mistake. He keeps it out of the wall. Gets back on the circuit. That could cost him later on. He's just been in the pits, has the German. He's about to run wide on the grass, got out of shape. And luckily there was some tarmac there for him to use to help the car avoid the barrier. He hasn't lost any positions. Kobayashi may not be in the cycle race. He's in 6th place and he's 91 points off the top with only 4 rounds left, including this one. So he's virtually out of the running. He'll want to get Manor's first race win of the season. And should they take their first win of the season, it'll keep on Sam Hall's record of picking up a race win in each season as a team manager. Let's see, Antonio Felix da Costa in 3rd position. He's not had to do anything so far in this one, but he's doing all he needs to be doing. Goes down the arrears in the championship race with Scott Dixon. Peter Vries is also in there as well. It's still Dixon's championship to lose though. He can still get back into the points. As far as the team's championship is concerned, as we see Nicholas Latifi fending off Robin Freins. Now, if Manor were to get a 1-2, as well as pole position in the fastest lap points, they would go on to 203 points. They would go in front of Leighton House and Simtek. Minardi will still be ahead. If da Costa was to finish 3rd and De Vries 5th, that would give them 25 points and they'll go on to 253. So they'll have a 50-point lead over the others with 3 races left. And that's more than the maximum score for a single round. Buemi is a little out of shape into turn 1, but he's able to collect it. Will Power's time penalty would not drop him down the order. Galeo's time penalty would drop him down out of the top 15, I think. Yamamoto would go in front of him. There is Lopez running in 2nd place. He did a fine job for Eurobron last season. So far for Manor, he's been excellent. He's finished as we see a new fast start being posted by Scott Dixon now for a 125.4. So Manor no longer have that fastest lap point. I was going to say for Jose Maria Lopez, he had a good run of finishes to the end of the season for Eurobron. He in fact finished in each of the last 8 races. And he's finished his first 3 for Manor so far. So he's finished the last 11 races that he's competed in as Lopez. You can see Wittmann running in 17th place. Felipe Nasser has also retired, for your information. I forgot to mention him actually. So we've got 6 drivers out. 20 still running. On lap 24. Approaching half race distance. Two HRTs in the top 10 for your information. Nick Yellerly and Alex Lynn. They're behind the 2 Leighton Houses of Will Power and Sebastian Buemi. Bearing in mind, this is Leighton House's first season since getting promoted to League One, so you could say they've had a brilliant campaign. They have. It's just that they've fallen away since the form they once had when Sebastian Buemi won a couple of races for them in Sentil and Kyalami. They haven't been in the same form since. Now, Scott Dixon has yet to have a mechanical retirement this season. All of his retirements have been through crashes of his own. He was taken out by Will Power in Yongam, and the other 2 occasions in Kyalami and Hockenheim, he lost it all by himself. And had it not been for that, he would have been well and truly clear of the rest, and very much have sewn up this championship. And it would have helped Simsek in the team's race as well. So it looks like Kobayashi and Lopez are going to be doing one-stop strategies. DaCosta, Youngade and De Vries likewise. It's a matter of who's going to pit in first, as we see Yamamoto locking up into turn 6 but keeping it on the island. He's behind Sean Galeal and Jean-Eric Verne. Doesn't look like Prost are going to be coming away with anything today either, but they're needing to worry in their quest to beat the drop. And Verne has gone off the circuit. Now what has happened to Verne? Has he made a mistake? It looks like he has, because the engine is still running. And does he catch the grass on the entry? No, he actually has a spin and has gone into the barrier. Very lucky to keep that car going. And Verne has to wait for the traffic to go by. And he's pointing the wrong way, is Verne. He needs to be very careful. Wittmann goes through. And it looks like Froko is about to go through as well. Now he needs to be careful because Dixon is coming up behind shortly. And luckily he does not take out the Kiwi. Verne's lost so much time once more. There we can see the BAR of Nicholas Latifi ahead of the Super Aguri of Robin Freins. DaCosta pits in from 3rd position at the end of lap 27. And to get out in front of Sebastian Buemi, I would have thought. DaCosta will rejoin ahead of Buemi, I would have. Does Buemi get in front of him? No, it'll be DaCosta again in front of the Swiss. So DaCosta rejoins in 7th place. He might go for the fastest lap. He's got some clear air in front. And there's a chance for him to get a fast lap point on the fresher tyres. Dixon has that at the moment. Can DaCosta take that away from him? will see either of the Manners come into the pits at the end of this lap. So that Vern has come in for his first scheduled stop. Comes in, as does Nick de Vries, and they both spin in the pit lane. They both spin in the pit lane, and that so nearly could have been curtains for both of them. Going in too quickly there, and Daniel Gandaya is struggling to get that car back into the pit lane. And this is a disappointing sight for Topher Smith, who's in charge of the squad. Daniel Gandaya carried too much speed, tried to get the car into the pits. He's come back out of the pits. Now, surely, if he's reversed back out of the pit lane or going in the wrong direction, that should be a disqualification. He's in the pits now, as is Latifi, but Young Gandaya has lost so much time, as has de Vries. O'Sullivan pitting in the AGS. He's not had a lot to do today. At least he can take the experience going forward. Kobayashi and Lopez continuing on. First and second places. The home fans would have loved to have seen Lopez take the top step today. Kobayashi's been in a class of his own so far. Now, if I was Lopez, I would consider pitting in before Kobayashi. Browning in third place, Willpower fourth. It's DaCosta who's fifth after his pit stop. He has not got the fast up point, so Dixon continues to keep hold of that. Yellowly pits in for HRT from 9th position. There's Fines locking up into the last hairpin of the lap. And over the line comes Fines. He's in front of Galeo. Yamamoto up to P11. I don't think he's stopped yet in this race. Has the Japanese. There is Lopez continuing on in second place. What will Kobayashi decide to do? Or is Lopez going to maybe try and complete an undercut on him? Kobayashi pits in from the race lead. Lopez will go into the lead in the second manner. Luke Browning should go through as well, unless he decides to come into the pits at the end of this lap. There is Browning and Power. Then Kobayashi comes out in second place, well ahead of them. Now is Willpower going to make a move on Browning into turn 1? If he is close enough. He's not so quite there. Browning remains in front. Kobayashi on the fresher tyres has the chance to go for a fastest lap. We're watching Willpower dive into the inside of Will Browning into turn 3, and the overtake is complete for the Australian. He's due into third place, and on the final step of the podium, he still has a pit stop to make. Lopez in the lead now for Manor. He's going to be coming up to a back marker shortly, so maybe this might be the time to come in and make a pit stop without losing too much time. You need around about 22 seconds for a pit stop at the minimum. Given it's a short entry into the pit lane, Lopez gets the car slowed down. And there's Power ahead of Browning. Now, does DaCosta get through into second place? Because that is something we need to be watching. Froko nearly running wide in the Onyx. Keeps the car on the circuit. He's running in 16th ahead of Scott Dixon. Now, Browning pits in from third place. Now, what about DaCosta? Does he go in front of Lopez? Well, no, he doesn't, but Lopez is off the circuit and he's broken his front wing. A shocker there from the home hero. Jose Maria Lopez goes off, wrecks his front wing, and hands the position to Antonio Felix da Costa. He'll need to come back in for a new nose section. Will Power also pitted in for Leighton House, and they should move up at the expense of Lopez once he comes back in. Kobayashi on his own at the front now, with da Costa in second place. And that's important for the championship. And there's Galeo, who's in front of Will Power now. Both Galeo and Power will serve time penalties for unsafe rejoins at the beginning of the race. Yamamoto is running in the 11th, could inherit a point if he's lucky. He's in front of Danny Yunkandea. There we see Antonio Felix da Costa in second place. He needs to keep on scoring big to close down the gap to Scott Dixon, who is out of the points. He's on course for a point at the moment, is Scott Dixon for the fastest lap as Lynn gets through on Lopez, who is without that front wing. Now, does Lopez get into the pit lane gently, as he did so last time, considering he's got no front, well, half a front wing to his car? It proved to be a bit of a handful. He is through into the pit lane. He'll fall out of the points by the time he rejoins. As Boemi goes for a spin in the Leighton House. And he hands the position to Alex Lynn and nearly rejoining into the path of Nick de Vries. Now, what will Boemi get here? Because de Vries had to jam on the brakes and Boemi was just too greedy on the throttle on the exit of turn 1. Lynn got through safely, but de Vries had to slam on the brakes to avoid contact. De Vries is up the inside of Boemi now. What will the stewards take on that? It'll probably be no further action. We'll wait and see what the verdict will be. It's probably no further action, more than anything. So it's as you were. You can see Danny Yunkandea, who's running in 12th position behind Jose Maria Lopez, has got out now. He's in 11th position behind Yamamoto in a quick and refreshed manner on those tyres. He'll get through on Yamamoto rather easily. He might even go for a fastest lap, who knows? Here's da Costa in P2. Alex Lynn, who I believe pitted in, was one of the two stoppers that pitted in early on. He's into 3rd place in the HRT. Unlikely that da Costa's going to take a 3rd win on the bounce, but you never know. A lot can change in a blink of an eye. And there is Lynn. His teammate Nick Yellerly is running in 13th behind Yunkandea. And Will Power is making his way back through the field. He gets through ahead of Sean Galeo. That's enough to move him into 8th place. Yamamoto is running in the final points paying position ahead of Jose Maria Lopez. I don't want to make too many more errors like that. And there's an off somewhere. There's a yellow flag out. And it's Will Power who's gone off again in the Leighton House. No, he has lost that all by himself, most certainly, has the Australian. Yep. Around she goes. Into the goal trap and into the barrier. No harm done there. He'll lose even more time thanks to that. And Will Power, who has been on a really wretched run of form. He has yet to win a race this season. He's well and truly out of the race for the title. Spinning the car back round. Will he get out without coming back into the path of anyone else? He's back on safely ahead of Zach O'Sullivan. And he's in 17th. That promotes Dixon up to 15th place. Yamamoto is 9th ahead of Lopez. Now, is Lopez going to get the fastest lap, considering he's on the fresher tyres? We'll find out in a moment. He gets through on... That's Kobayashi, I should say, who's just lapping Jean-Eric Verne. I don't think Lopez got the point for the fast lap. You can see Jean-Eric Verne locking up there. Now, I'm not sure what happened there involving him. Want to get a replay of that. Because Kobayashi got through on him. Safe and sound. And Verne, in fact, nearly running into the rear of the Onyx of Sebastian Bourdais, who is on fire and is going to be out of this race. Last season's race winner in League One on this track is not going to be finishing this time. So his car goes up in flames, as does his race. Ryan Ferris will have a lot to think about for next season if his team are going to mount a title challenge. And it's an oil leak for the Frenchman. He's the 7th driver to retire. We're on lap number 35. 20 laps to go. Kobayashi on his own, on course for his 4th Grand Prix World Series win. His first for Manor. He had to sit out a round in Hockenheim to allow Lopez to have a go. And then Kobayashi came back in the car, and Lopez is now what was Roman Grosjean's seat. You can see Seko Sullivan, who's running in 18th position ahead of Jean-Eric Verne. Right on board with Alex Lynn, who's in 3rd place ahead of Nick de Vries. Lopez is now in front of Yamamoto, for your information, into 9th. The next driver ahead of him is Sean Galeo in the BAR. Another strong drive from Alex Lynn in the HRT, having a brilliant season. So when he finished on the podium in Misano. 4th place finish in Hockenheim, followed a couple or a few rounds later. Hasn't finished on the points since, as we can see Marco Wittmann and Scott Dixon tussling it out for 14th. And Alex Lynn pits in for the 2nd time in this race, which allows Nick de Vries and Sebastian Buemi to move up to 3rd and 4th. Browning now up to 5th. I think Lynn is lucky enough he'll get out in front of Lopez, but Lopez has been quick on his stint as Yamamoto pits in for his 2nd stop. He's having a better race of it, is Yamamoto, thinking of it. There's been some effort from him. He's ahead of Wittmann. Is he getting out of either Wittmann or Dixon? The answer is no. Dixon is about to complete an overtake on Wittmann, and 13th position is his. As it stands with Da Costa 2nd and de Vries in 3rd. Da Costa will go on to 127 points. De Vries will go on to 126. Da Costa will move in front of his teammate. Dixon is only on course to get the fast lap point. So the gap will be, at the moment, 25 points with 3 races left. And you can see Yamamoto's come out of the pits ahead of the sole surviving Onyx of Antonio Frocco. Luke Browning has picked up an issue somewhere, or has he come into the pits? We're not quite sure what's going on yet, because we can see all the timing pages changing left, right and centre, and Browning has had a spin. After running up so high, he's made an error. And he's fallen down horribly, and that just sums up Simtek's day. at this stage of the season when they needed to be on form, given Minardi's form at the moment. Sean Galeo comes into the pits for BAR. Lopez is up into 6th place now. And Lance Dixon moves up 1 place, but this is not what Brownie needed. He's filled in for Stoffel Van Dorn. He's going to fall down to last place, isn't he? Now, 18th position. He's now in front of Jean-Eric Verne. So he's had the spin at the exit of the centre S's as Sean Galeo runs wide a little bit on the exit of turn number 3. And Dixon's in for the 3rd time in this race. He'll fall down to last, I would have thought. There's no chance of him finishing in the top 10 today. Well, we'll have to hope his misfortune striking his rivals DeCosta and De Vries. Buemi pits in from 4th position. That'll move Robin Freins up. Unless he decides to head for the pits. He's actually heading for the pits as well, so Lopez will go up 2 more positions. Alex Lim will go back up into 5th place. Gandea will move up also in the arrows. Unless Buemi gets out ahead of the Spaniard. Nick Melody is in 8th. Freins will exit the pits in front of Latifi, who at the moment is on course for a point. An important point for BAR to distance themselves clear of all those in the bottom 3. Here's De Vries in 3rd position, catching Antonio Felix da Costa. In front of him there, that looks like Scott Dixon, who is about to lap. And Gandea running wide a little bit, had to slow the car down to make sure he got through the corner. He's done so. Manor still looking good for their first win of the season as Will Power locks up into the hairpin. He's able to keep the car on the racetrack. And the gap between Lopez and De Vries is just under 14 seconds. I doubt that Lopez is going to have enough time to catch the Dutchman. It's behind behind Buemi, sorry, in 7th place. Hillary 8th, Freins 9th. He's just pitted as well. Gap between Lopez and Lin is 2.5 seconds. You can see Kobayashi crossing the line to complete his 39th lap. 15 laps away from victory is the Japanese. With this result, he'll move in front of Will Power up to 5th place in the standings. And there is Sean Galeo tossing it out of his teammate Nicholas Latifi for the final point. Galeo is carrying a time penalty, remember. As it stands, Marco Wittmann will move up a position, as will Naoki Yamamoto. Power is in 14th. He will also serve a 10-second time penalty. As it stands, he'll lose a position to Sacco Sullivan. And there is Kobayashi in the lead. And ahead of him, what looks like Luke Browning. Going through turn 1, the sole surviving Midland is in front of Will Power. Ahead of Yamamoto is Marco Wittmann, chasing another points scoring position today. Vries running in third place still as we see Galil and Latifi go into combat once more. As we see Antonio Franco running wide, staying on the circuit. He's in front of Jean-Luc Verne and Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon, who has had 2 wins to his name this season in Sepang and Misano. He'll still be in the lead of the championship whatever happens today. But it's going to be a rather nervy finish to the season than he would have wanted. Costa still going. Looking very, very good. And Latifi goes for a spin ahead of Galeo. And the final point is pretty much gone there for BAR. Because Galeo has that penalty hanging over him. Not what BAR needed. And for Will Knight, he will be desperate for this season to be over. See Latifi spinning right in front of his teammate. And he'll fall down the order wheel. Let's see if he can get the car spun round. He can. And he's on his way again in 14th. Robin finds who's in 9th behind Meet Yellowly. Sullivan in 15th. Be a double podium for Minardi, even though it's not going to be the victory that they'll have wanted. Jose Maria Lopez has got the gap down between him and De Vries. I'll tell you what the gap is in a moment. The gap is now just over 11.5 seconds. Lopez is not going to have enough time to catch De Vries, I don't think. Laney's catching Lopez as well, believe it or not, maintaining the gap behind. On course for a really good result in 5th. Now we can see Marco Wittmann, who is beginning to struggle a little bit with Yamamoto on better tyres than he is on. It looks like Will Power may decide to go for a move also in the Leighton House. Now, is Yamamoto going to make a move up the inside into turn 3? Not quite so there. So he decides to wait back a little bit. Costa dropping back from Kobayashi is well clear of De Vries. See Yamamoto thinking of it on Wittmann, and that's going to allow Power to go through on him rather easily. So Power is still ahead of Yamamoto and up to 12th place on track. .8 seconds is the gap between De Vries and Lopez as Kobayashi gets held up by Luke Browning. So it seems like they're going to have neither of their cars picking up any points for the second time in 4 races. Now we can see Will Power dive into the inside of Marco Wittmann into turn 1, and that's move completed again for the Australian, who's beginning to recover. But he still has that penalty looming over him. You can see Da Costa. He's closed in the gap a little because Kobayashi got held up by the back markers. Got 11 laps to go. Lopez is closing in on De Vries. The gap is 10.3 in sector 2. It's less than 10.2 at the end of the lap between the 3rd and 4th place drivers. Kobayashi is coming up behind Zach O'Sullivan, who's standing in for the suspended Alex Palou. Should be a relatively simple overtake for Kobayashi as O'Sullivan tries to stay out of the way of Kobayashi. Not making it easy for him by any means. As we see Nick Yellowly touching the grass on the approach to turn 3. So he needs to keep the car going. Now Galeo's time penalty will drop him behind Wittmann and Yamamoto. He needs to pull out another couple of seconds really. And now Luke Brennan makes a move on O'Sullivan into 15th place. Freeze, who's in 3rd still. He was on about 9.5 seconds ahead of Lopez in the last sector before the end of this lap. We'll see what the gap is when Lopez crosses over the line. And the gap is now less than 9 seconds. With 10 laps left. Kobayashi. All he needs to do, keep the car going. Manor on course for their 2nd win in Argentina. First for Kamui Kobayashi. His 4th in his Grand Prix World Series career. And his first for the Manor team. Sam Hall will be very, very pleased to see this. At least it helps the team's chances in the team's championship a little bit. But it's still very much Minardi's to lose, given that Simtek aren't going to be scoring today. Lighthouse are going to be picking up only 8 points with Sebastian Buemi in 6th position. As it stands with Manor picking up 25 for the win, 12 for 2nd, and a point for the pole position. As we see Antonio Felix Acosta going through turn 1 in 2nd. Scott Dixon still has the fast lap point for your information. That's all they're going to be getting today. Minardi will be picking up 33 points, which will see them extend their lead over Simtek. As it stands, they will be 63 points clear of them, with Manor picking up 38. They'll move on to 196 as Power goes for a spin in the Leighton-house. He's done it at the centre S. And sums up his day as well. Running wide and spinning round as he goes downhill. And the Latifi will go through. And the leaders will be going through shortly. I think Luke Browning will go through as well. So we'll sack O'Sullivan. And Will Power will just want to just get the car points in the right way. So lost the position to Antonio Froco and Scott Dixon. He's down in 19th place. Jean-Luc Verne will have moved in front of him as well. But Power is down at the back. We'll go back to the race leader, Kamui Kobayashi, on lap 47. The gap between De Vries and Lopez was less than 8 seconds in the second sector. We'll see what the gap is now. De Vries crossing over the line first. And we'll shortly see Lopez going over as well. And it's 7.7 seconds with 8 laps to go. There's De Vries continuing on his way. Lopez is still catching. Dixon's trying to unlap himself from Da Costa. He's having to make his way through the back markers. Da Costa is finding it very hard to get through ahead of him, but just needs to be content with second. There's nothing he can do about Kobayashi in front. And Sean Galeo, who is in 10th place, has pulled out the margin on Wittmann, but that lockup won't help. VAR on course for a point as it stands. Wittmann is outside of that margin he needs to get into a points scoring position. Galea has that 10-second time penalty for the unsafe rejoin at the beginning of the race. And De Vries is heading over the line now to complete another lap. What is the margin between him and Lopez? It is now 6.3 with 7 laps remaining. There's Da Costa ahead of Dixon. And Dixon trying to unlap himself, Da Costa not having any of it. Dixon is allowed to do this, for your information. He is allowed to unlap he wants, providing it doesn't take out the Minardi. Given its championship rival, of course. Seven drivers out of the race so far. We've lost Sebastian Bourdais. We have lost Paul de Resta, Pato O'Ward, Felipe Nasser, Roy Nassani, Colton Herter, and Louis Delatraz. Paul de Resta will be serving a 2-race ban and a disqualification from this race for causing the collisions with Louis Delatraz and Pato O'Ward. The gap is less than 6 seconds between De Vries and Lopez. The gap is less than just over 5.7 seconds between De Vries and Lopez with 6 laps left. I think Lopez is going to run out of time before he has any form of opportunity to make a move on De Vries. You never know what can happen. We saw what happened last season when Da Costa broke down on the last lap. There's a yellow flag, and that's Will Power off the racetrack. And it looks like he's picked up an issue. Or is that a spin? I think that was a spin from Power. And that's not going to please team manager Chris Cavani by any means. With Helio Castroneves waiting in the wings, will we see Will Power at the next race? Well, with a manoeuvre like that, the chance of that could be greater. So Will Power gets back on the circuit, but he will need a new front wing. And what a really disappointing day again for Chris Cavani. He needed some strong points to stay in the hunt for the team's championship. The drivers' championship is pretty much long gone. And there's De Vries in 3rd. Lopez in 4th place. 5.5 seconds between the pair in the last sector. As we see Dixon make a move on Antonio Franco into turn 1. And that's good enough for 17th place. And we see Kobayashi who's coming up to lap Nicholas Latifi. And Vern goes off in the Prost once more. And he's broken his front wing whilst he's at it. It hasn't been a good day for Prost, unfortunately. And Vern's race has got even worse in the gravel trap once more. After a brilliant qualifying, he's going to be coming away with no points for the 2nd race in a row. Power is in the pits for a new front wing as well. And behind Vern will be, and that's De Vries who's coming through there. He won't want to be holding up Jose Maria Lopez, that's for sure. As we see Kobayashi on lap 50, approaching the end of lap 50. Still in the lead. And Yamamoto is next to go for a spin onto the grass. And that's a disappointment there for Midland, who were chasing a point. That's gone as well. I don't know whether he was put off by the Leighton House in front and not focusing on his own driving. There's Yamamoto. So he has gone for a spin. Will he get back onto the racetrack, I wonder? And he's almost stuck there in the barrier there is Yamamoto. Dixon has got through, as has Froko. And Verne is into the pits for a new nose section. And Yamamoto is still struggling to get back onto the circuit. And there are more cars coming through. Back on track now in 17th place. The gap between De Vries and Lopez is 4 seconds. As we see Frines getting through on Verne by the looks of it. It's just come out of the pits. As we see Power coming up behind Marco Wittmann, who's a lap ahead of him. And we see a blow up for Nick De Vries in 3rd place, in front of Lopez. With just over 3 laps left, De Vries is not going to be coming away with anything from this. Great news for Lopez and for Manor. Disappointment for Minardi and for Giacomo Pagliaro. He's got to hope that the same does not strike Antonio Felix da Costa in the final laps. Does that spell the end of Nick De Vries' chances in the championship? Lynn gets through into 4th. De Vries is going no further in this. He's trying to make it to the end, but he won't get that far. And we see Kobayashi going off as well. He's lost his front wing as Kobayashi from the race leads. And Antonio Felix da Costa with 3 laps remaining is into the lead. Unbelievable lap for Sam Hall and for the Manor team. It was looking very good for them, and Kobayashi has thrown it all away. It's a tale of 2 halves really there for both Minardi and for Manor. De Vries is going to be out of the race. Kobayashi is going to lose the victory. So De Vries pulls off with an engine failure. Kobayashi is going to lose probably his 2nd place to Jose Maria Lopez and maybe off the podium places. Well, that changes the situation in the championship. It's great news for Scott Dixon, but the bad news for him is that Antonio Felix da Costa is into the lead and on course for 3 wins in a row. Kobayashi comes into the pits for a new front wing, and that will allow Lopez to go through. Lynn will go through. Buemi will go through. Juncker should go through. I mean, with 2 laps left, Kobayashi might have the chance to go for a fast lap. Who knows? But the most important thing is that Antonio Felix da Costa, with just a couple of laps remaining, leads the League One Buenos Aires Grand Prix. On a track where he's had no luck in the past, fortune seems to be on his side today. And there's Dixon, who's up to 14. And Jean-Eric Verne has posted a new fastest lap of the race in the Prost. On his first set of tyres, he's now got the point for the fastest lap and is taking that away from Scott Dixon. Well, Alex Lane is on course for a podium, and Will Power, believe it or not, has got the fast lap to himself away from Jean-Eric Verne. I suppose with only a few laps to go, they've got a set of tyres, and Will Power has a chance of getting a point out of this after all. With Kobayashi on fresh tyres now. Can he go for a fast lap? Well, he's stuck behind Danny Yonkadeo at the moment, so he may not have the opportunity for that. We can see Nick Yellerly ahead of Sean Galeo, who's now up into 9th position and on course for 2 points in the BAR in their quest for survival. But Antonio Fitz-da-Costa has now started the final lap. Lopez is in 2nd place. After breaking his front wing earlier, he so easily could have been taking the victory today. But Manor have totally bottled it. They really have bottled it. Thanks to 2 driver errors, Antonio Fitz-da-Costa is going to take his 3rd win in a row as Kobayashi moves in front of Danny Yonkadeo on the last lap. And Sean McVern has got back the fastest lap of the race. But we're on the final lap anyway. Kobayashi's on the first set of tyres. He might just snatch that fast lap point away from Sean McVern. And then we can see Alex Lynn on course for a podium finish once again. But there is Antonio Fitz-da-Costa, who's hadn't had a lot to do in all honesty. Is about to come through and close down the gap as Will Power gets the point for the fast lap. We'll wait to see whether Kobayashi on the fresh tyres can take that away from him. A step closer to the team's championship, as well as the Drivers' Championship for Antonio Fitz-da-Costa. It hasn't been the easiest victory, but they most certainly have taken it at the start. Antonio Fitz-da-Costa for Minardi wins the League 1 Buenos Aires Grand Prix. He closes down the championship lead to Scott Dixon. Incredibly as well. We'll go to Jose Maria Lopez on home turf. To the delight of his home fans. It really so easily could have been the race victory, but it's 2nd place for him. His 3rd in 4 races. Alex Lynn for HRT, who will celebrate a podium finish in 3rd place. And we've got Kamui Kobayashi, who's just lapping the Midland there. Can he take the fast lap point away from Will Power? No, he can't. So Kobayashi misses out on the fast lap point. That is Will Power's to keep. Yonkadeo is 6th ahead of Frines and Yellerly, who will hold off Sean Galeo. Despite Galeo's time penalty, he will keep hold of 9th position. Marco Wittmann will pick up a point for Prost. And then we've got Nicholas Latifi, Luke Browning and Sacco Sullivan on his debut in the Grand Prix Series will bring his AGS home in 13th position. Scott Dixon, a lap down, has had a day to forget. 14th and no points today. So we just wait for the young Brits to cross over the line and we'll run down on the championship and the race results, I should say. But it's victory for Antonio Fitz-da-Costa for Minardi once again. 3 in a row for the Portuguese. Jose Maria Lopez in 2nd place on home turf. Then we've got Alexson in 3rd. Sebastian Buemi for Leighton House in 4th position. Kobayashi threw the win away with 3 laps left. Had to contend with 5th. Danny Yonkadeo finishes 6th ahead of Robin Frines. Nick Yellerly, Sean Galeo picking up a couple of points for BAR in their quest for survival. Marco Wittmann in the Prost taking the final point. Nicholas Latifi was 11th, followed by Luke Browning. Sacco Sullivan was the last driver on the lead lap in 3rd team. Then we've got Scott Dixon, Antonio Froco, Naoki Yamamoto, Sean O'Kvern, Will Power, and Nick De Vries, who retired with 3 laps left with engine problems, throwing away a podium finish. Sebastian Bourdais retired with an oil leak. Pato Ward crashed out. Felipe Nasser out with gearbox trouble, and Roy Nissany and Colton Herta collided together. Louis Delachaz was taken out by Paul Di Resta, who is disqualified for causing the collision, and is serving a 2-race ban for also taking out Pato Ward. The pole position point went to Jose Maria Lopez, and the fast lap point went to Will Power. A day to remember for Antonio Fitz-da-Costa. He closes down the championship lead to Scott Dixon. The gap was 42 points between the pair of them. It's now down to 17 with 3 races left. Panonia, Valencia, Buenos Aires. 3 in a row for Antonio Fitz-da-Costa. 3 wins in a row for him. He is showing why he is the man to beat at the moment. Scott Dixon will be feeling very, very nervous now in the race for the title. It was looking comfortable for him. Not quite so now. 3 races left. Next time out in Curitiba should be an absolutely special occasion. The Grand Prix World Series' first race in Brazil. Could we see someone dance in December in delight? I also want to say congratulations also to Mastercard Layla and Von Mattel, who will be racing in League 1 next season after sealing their promotion in the League 2 race earlier on today. It's time to run down on the championship standings after today's events in the voice of Topher Smith.
Well, plenty of drama, plenty of action. The Buenos Aires has absolutely delivered today, both in League 2 and in League 1. A huge congratulations to Antonio Felix da Costa, who makes history in the Grand Prix World Series by becoming the first driver to complete the hat-trick, 3 wins in a row for the Portuguese driver. And this is putting him right into contention for this championship. Let's have a look at the driver standings. Scott Dixon still heads the way on 151 points, but his lead has been reduced dramatically there. 17 points less than a race win now between himself and Antonio Felix da Costa in a Minardi. The second Minardi of Nick de Vries still holding on 111 points. He'll be disappointed after that late retirement today. Pato Ward fourth in the arrows ahead of Willpower, and Kamui Kobayashi, as the line there indicates, he is the last of the drivers who can still mathematically win this championship. Though Kobayashi will be hugely disappointed. He was dominating today's race, and for all intents and purposes should have won really, but a late mistake there, putting him down the order, and he will be kicking himself all the way to Curitiba, I'm sure. Sebastian Buemi 7th in the Leighton House on 68 points, ahead of Roman Grosjean in 8th, Alex Lynn 9th in the HRT, and Jose Maria Lopez. He's only done 4 races this season, but his second place in those 4 races has put him into the top 10 in the championship, although he, again, much like Kobayashi, will be feeling like he could have won today's race, but that's the way it goes sometimes. In order to finish first you have to finish and get there safely. Lopez spinning off earlier on and costing himself a chance of victory there. In the team standings, Minardi still lead the way on 253 points now ahead of Simtek at 197. Leighton House are third at 188, but only 1 point now ahead of Manor. Manor knocking on the door of the top 3 here this season after a late resurgence in the second half of the season. That's going to be a really interesting battle, and actually looking at this again, they're only 10 points behind Simtek, so it's not completely out of the question that Manor could even get second in the standings here this season. Arrows in 5th at 144 points, the last of the teams that can still win the League 1 Teams Championship. HRT now mathematically out of contention on 92 points. Super Guria 7th on 84, ahead of Prost on 64. Onyx and BAR still holding on to the top 10 on 55 and 32 points respectively. And then AGS, Midland and 40 Corsi still trying to fight that relegation battle and get themselves out of the top 10. But with the number of rounds now waning, it's looking less and less likely that they'll be able to do so. Well, what a day of action it has been in the Grand Prix World Series. So much drama, so many offs, so many crashes, a lot of controversy here today. But it has been exciting to watch, and it's getting us really excited for the last 3 rounds of the season. We're heading to Curitiba in Brazil next, which will be followed by San Carlos in Venezuela, and then once again Laguna Seca in California will be the season finale, and we're hoping that it goes all the way to Laguna Seca. It'll be really exciting to watch how all of these title battles get on. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Topher Smith. It's been a pleasure to have you along for the ride, and we look forward to welcoming you to Curitiba next time. Until then, take care.